I didn't know.
Okay, good. So I see.
I emailed him the, I
Right.
emailed,
All right, we could begin, and it's getting late. So this will be the regular meeting that we begin. We get to that agenda. Okay, ready?
Ready?
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Motion on the floor.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Borough of Englewood Cliffs Mayor and Council regular meeting. Today is July 14th, 2021. It is approximately 8:53 p.m. I call the meeting to order. The meeting is being conducted virtually via the Zoom application. Everyone from the public will have an opportunity to be heard if they so wish by raising their hand virtually or getting my attention in another way later on. We do follow Robert's rules, and in order to speak, I just ask everybody to ask to be recognized by me. I'm the mayor under New Jersey law. I'm also the chair of the meeting. So the meeting has been called to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
I'd like to make a motion.
We're in the middle of a roll call, sir. I'm here. I can't hear you so well. Can you get closer to the microphone, please?
Council President Wu,
Here.
Councilman Park,
Yeah.
Councilman Farrow,
Yeah.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Here.
Councilman Luciano, Councilman Katrubis,
Here.
Borough Attorney Dominic is here. I think our administrator is here, and Borough Clerk, Deputy Borough Clerk.
Okay. Thank you. Would
Mr.
everyone?
I'd like to make a motion.
Everyone,
Motion, please.
so we have something very important to do right now, which is to.
I have a motion on the floor. Motion, please.
There's no motion. We have to salute the flag of our great country, and we're going to do that now. Mr. Di Gregorio, you know the order. There's an agenda. Try to force yourself to follow it. Thank you. Please, everybody rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just by way of update, in terms of the pandemic, as of yesterday, we have one active case. We've had a total of 380 cases. Just to put things in perspective, on May 1st, we had a total of 369 cases. And sadly, we've had 9 deaths of residents, and our condolences and thoughts and prayers go out to those families. We're kind of on the, hopefully we're over this pandemic. There is a Delta variant coming around, and that may delay the opening of the Borough Hall to public meetings by another month, but we're trying to follow science and just see where that takes us. Madam Clerk, would you please read, Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
This meeting has been duly advertised in accordance with the provision of Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, also known as the Open Public Meetings Act or Sunshine Law. Notice of the 2021 Annual Mayor and Council meeting schedule has been provided to the officially designated newspapers, posted on the borough's website, posted on the outside doors of the municipal building, since public access to such building is not allowed because of COVID-19. Other borough facilities were applicable and provided to all parties who have requested a copy of such notice. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is conducted electronically via Zoom, pursuant to various executive orders promulgated by Governor Philip Murphy, pursuant to the provisions of PL 2020 Chapter 11, which allows for meetings to be conducted electronically, and pursuant to various local public finance notice promulgated by the state of New Jersey, Department of Community Affairs, Local Finance Board. Notice as to such Zoom access has also been provided according to law.
Motion
Okay, thank you
on
very
the
much.
floor, please. Motion.
You're not recognized, sir.
Motion on the floor. I make a motion.
No, there's no motion, sir. You're not recognized.
Mr. Diani, can I make a motion? Mr. Diani, can I make a motion?
You know, since you're not recognized and since I am the chair, I'm going to mute you for a minute until you gather yourself. The Borough Charity Project is the Office of Concern Food Pantry at St. Cecilia's Church in Englewood, New Jersey. We, as a community, have been supporting the food pantry for over 2 years. They desperately need non-perishable food items and other items such as diapers. Please, if you can, contribute to them. And it does a lot of good for a lot of people. You may not realize that because the town we live is quite affluent, but there's a lot of working poor in neighboring towns. So please be kind, please be considerate, and please be generous. They certainly appreciate it, and they do write to me, and they stop me and thank me when they see me. We've all received department head reports. If anyone has any questions on those, and since the borough administrator is in attendance tonight, I don't know if there's anything that you want to highlight for us. Please go ahead if you do.
Yes, Mayor. Well, just to update the council from a capital project standpoint, the police security cameras are finally installed. It's been a project that has gone on for about 5 years. Very happy to say that it was completed, and the police department are ecstatic and very happy that all of the security cameras that they needed are in place, and there are finally security cameras in the parking lot at Borough Hall. I'm presently working on another project that's been 5 years in the making. It's the police lockers. I think Mr. Hippolyt's on the call as well. He'll tell you that I guess it went on for a couple of years because there wasn't enough money that was allocated each year, but we finally have enough, and they're excited, we're excited, and we're excited for them that they're finally going to have updated bathrooms. I think they're the original ones. Right, Andy, I see him nodding his head. I think they're probably about 40 years old, and it's way, way long overdue, and they're very happy about it. And Mr. Hippolyt is working with the architect to get that updated. I had a meeting with Spectrum last Friday. I wasn't aware. It was never presented to me when I became the acting borough administrator. And apparently, Spectrum has been trying to get in touch with the borough for many years in trying to get their contract re-signed. The last signed contract that they have, well, let me go back one. The last ordinance that they've been able to provide me with where the borough approved the Time Warner is 1991. Since then, they have been trying to get this finished, Mayor, is what they're reporting to me. And they've been going off of the franchise agreements by the Board of Utilities. It was still required to pass an ordinance, which was never done. So I'm working with a gentleman, his name is Alex Carter, and we're trying to get that done for the next meeting. I've sent it all over to Mr. Bernstein's office. Obviously, it's been decades in the making, and I understand why it took so long. They had offered to provide free cable to the borough and the borough's buildings, and I asked if they would also do that for the schools, and they said yes, they would do that. And I provided him with the addresses of the schools so that that could go into the contract.
That's
Thank you. That's great.
I'm sorry, Mr. Di Gregorio?
I said that's standard. Schools get it. Schools
Well,
get, that's a standard thing. It's up to the school to take advantage of that.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I spoke to Miss Brower. She wasn't aware of it, and but it's going to be put into the contract, so they'll be able to save the money they've been spending on that. The Riverside Cooperative Program is going to be starting July, I believe it's July 20th. Andy, is that correct? Yes. Oh, you need to unmute Andy.
Glenn is in the
And,
room. Glenn is in the
Sorry,
room.
stop interrupting.
Yeah, July 20th, it starts milling.
Okay, and I know Councilman Di Gregorio has asked about the entrance to Charlotte Place for the school, and it is going to be done. It's there.
Sure.
One of the other things, Mayor, that was important to you that I know Mark Neville has been doing that has been done in the past. He's giving a complete updated list of all of the potholes and grates that are in need of repair throughout the entire borough. And he's almost done with that entire report. And he has been trying to fix them as he's making the report.
Thank you.
Glenn Luciano's in the waiting room. Please let Glenn Luciano in.
What I wanted to also do is,
You see his name?
to members of the public, as you know, we had an affordable housing issue, and we still have that issue here in town. When I became mayor, no affordable housing units had been built, and I did have a plan, just to recap. We had a handshake on the plan with Fair Share Housing, and then within a month in 2018, they reneged. And, the developer, long story made short, council control changed. The developer got through to a settlement. There was supposed to have been a trial, but some of the emails I highlighted for you in the past actually referenced it was going to be a show. And Martin Kafakian is on this call. He's the attorney for the developer. So I certainly invite him to speak rather than just to stalk. So Martin, speak, don't stalk. You're welcome to participate in this meeting. But what's actually come to light, because also what happened in 2019, 2020, my political party did not control this council. And so what happened was I was effectively shut out of information, as was Councilman Wu in 2019. And in 2020, Councilman Wu, Councilman Farrow, and I were all shut out from information. So what we did back in January with this council's consent is we sued the 4 law firms that represented the borough at the time to obtain our files and all their communications relating to this matter. And 2 of them, for the most part, have now complied or in the process of complying. That's Troutner and Serenian. Marinello and Wunsch have not turned over a single email or file to this borough, even though they were throughout. So that process continues. But what actually happened in the last day or two is we did get a glimpse of what was happening right before the October 2020 settlement agreement. So now you're talking about the time frame of September 2020 to the end of September 2020. And just to kind of also recap the structure of the litigation, Judge Farrington appointed as a special hearing officer, also a judge, but a retired judge who works under her auspices and kind of represents her to us and to the process, really got involved. He really got involved, and the emails belie that. And the way he got involved, and I'll try to actually share one of these emails with you. Forgive me if it doesn't work. Ms. McMorrow, I'm going to share an email. Tell me what you're looking at. Does it say I am relying upon the 3 of you?
No, this is the one that came after that, Mayor.
Okay. I'm not.
This is just by chance.
All right. So, okay. Well, we'll do that one first then.
Mr. Luciano's muted. Could you unmute him, please?
Please don't interrupt. This goes back to September 30th. So this is Judge Gallipoli. Like, he is part of the judicial system of New Jersey. Okay, he's not a developer. He's not an elected official. He's not part of our municipal government. He's not a resident. He is a judge. Now, if there are any attorneys in this Zoom, you know very well what a judge should do and shouldn't do, right? A judge, by definition, stays impartial. And yet, the judge decides he's going to go on our borough website, as you can read. And the last sentence is really quite telling. It says, seems you need to sew up the votes long before the meeting if the resolution is to come to pass. Regards. So this is an email that he wrote to Al Wunsch. Actually, no, he wrote this email to Wunsch, Serenian, and Marinello, and then Wunsch forwarded it to Serenian. So then I'm going to stop that share. And I'm going to share the next document. This is where I think I'd be in trouble with sharing, but let me see which document are you reading, Carol? Is it,
This is the one that Mr. Sereni is saying that you have a right to a meaningful appeal on September 14th,
Okay.
2020.
So that's interesting, right? Because right before the settlement agreement, Mr. Serenian was giving me comfort that we would actually have the right to appeal, right? But guess what happened in the settlement agreement? They tried to take that right away from the town, right? So something went on, and I'm very curious, and you know, if you have intellectual curiosity or if you're just curious about getting facts, you keep digging, right? So that's what this process is all about. We're digging right now. And then there was a third email that was very interesting, and I've had trouble getting it on the screen, but let me see if I could get it. Is this the one from Gallipoli I am relying?
No, it's the same one, it's just by chance.
Okay, let me see why I'm not able to get that one. And that's probably the most useful to us, gruesome if you're Martin Kafafi and the others on this Zoom right now, because I suspect that there are others involved in this. How about now, Carol?
No, it's that's the same one, Mayor,
Yeah.
just by chance.
Okay, yeah, so I'm not able to launch that one. I'm not sure why, but basically this was an email on September 30th from Gallipoli, Judge Gallipoli to us, right? Although he's at a law firm now, which is very interesting, but he's the representative of Judge Farrington, and I hope she's made aware of this and has to consider how she's being represented in this process. He writes to Al Wunsch, Jeff Serenian, and Joe Marinello. He says, I am relying upon the three of you to make this happen based on your representation that the votes are there to get this approved by the borough, despite what I perceive as opposition by all or at least some members of the governing body and or the board. I don't know the terms of the proposed resolution and don't want to know them now. But if the borough wants to get back to some semblance of normality within the foreseeable future, i.e., he's got a big weight over the borough here, as opposed to being paralyzed while this plays out for years in the courts, then the governing body should seriously consider a resolution now. Regards, and thanks in advance for your individual and collective efforts to make this happen, even at the possible expense, hopefully then only temporary, of your political popularity within the borough. So does this sound like a judge? It doesn't, right? So this is why I'm asking this council tonight to appoint the law firm of Cadwalader, Wickersham and Taft and Karen Geiger, Nick Gravanti and their team to do three things. One, to investigate what happened here and to recommend further action to us. And then 2 and 3 are somewhat related, and I'll just touch upon them. There's a principle in law, and it's in all 50 states, and it's a great law. And that law is basically saying that you cannot threaten criminal prosecution for a civil benefit, right? So you can't threaten the governing body, the mayor, as 800 Sylvan did unlawfully, to get us to rescind the condemnation ordinance or to not appeal. So lines were crossed. We were double crossed as a borough, and we were double crossed by our own attorneys back in September and October. And they were hand in glove with Judge Gallipoli, who decided that he doesn't like our town. He doesn't like our mayor. He doesn't like some people in the governing body. And he's going to actually cheerlead for a settlement agreement, which we know some judges will try to push people to settle, but this guy's actually cheerleading. So,
wasn't it in our interest?
You don't have the floor, sir. You don't have the floor. I do. And I will keep the floor till I'm finished, Mr. DiGregorio. This is important. This is about our town. This is about our residents. This is about our residents' home values being reallocated to Mr. Kafafian's clients. It's important. And it's important that this council actually investigates what took place. We've kind of done a lot of work here. He was trying to secure votes. A judge was trying to secure votes. That's all I'm going to say. Based on that email, we need an investigation. The people of this town want an investigation. Our residents want an investigation. The taxpayers who are being hurt by this settlement want an investigation. And yes, there will be consequences depending on where that investigation goes. And yes, I will not stop until we figure out that we bring justice.
We're bankrupt. Mr. Mayor, can you?
You're going to bankrupt us in the meantime.
We welcome to the waiting room because we don't interrupt each other, okay? That's my rule. You got a warning and now you're in the waiting room. I'll let you back in shortly when I'm finished. So I do ask the council here, and I've explained everything to the council. Ms. Dyer has presented twice to the council. And I just felt that we need to go outside of the political quagmire of New Jersey law firms and bring in a New York firm to find a path forward for us here. And I think I've done it. I think I found the right firm to do this, and I'm highly confident. And I hope the Borough Council will support that. So I wanted to just mention that right up front because I know it's going to come up later. And I intend to actually share these emails with the borough, although I was not able to share that last one. And by the way, you know very well, right? You know very well that Bergen Record will spin this differently, right? The Bergen Record, the Star Ledger will spin it differently. Like, oh, we want to build affordable housing. Yeah, fine, so do we. We agreed to do that. We will do it. But we're not going to destroy our talent at the expense of doing that. We know Karen Geiger, who's got her eye on the cliffs and who seems to get all the information she needs from Mr. DiGregorio. She'll never touch this subject, right? She'll poo-poo it, but I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm hoping this council doesn't either. Okay, we have minutes to.
Mr. Mayor, can you please, Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, you don't have the floor right now. We have minutes.
Point of order.
We have minutes to approve. We don't have any correspondence.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, please.
So I asked the council.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, please.
We're not doing a point of order right now. We're following the
Yes,
agenda.
point of order
Point
takes
of order as
precedence.
well, Mr. Mayor.
What's
I'd
that?
like to make a motion.
There's a point
Mr.
of order.
Diani, point of order, explain to him, it doesn't his priority, point of order has preference.
You know
It's
what?
if you have a procedural issue, you can bring the point of order, but if you're just being cut off and just want to speak,
When can I make a
the
motion?
mayor does
Jan?
preside over the meeting.
Well, how do you know until I ask my point of order?
Well, is your motion on the agenda? Yes or no?
Does it
It
have to be?
doesn't matter. This is an open meeting, Mr. Diani. This is an open meeting, so I can bring up anything. Motion,
We published this
Motion.
agenda to the
I
public.
have a motion on the floor.
Sorry, hold on a second, just so we understand how this works. We published an agenda to the public. We came out of.
We can't get anything on the agenda.
We came out of closed session. No one added anything.
Point of order, Mr. Diani.
Mr. Pian, there you go, that's the
And I
second
seek
point
your
of order.
legal counsel on what we do next.
Motion on the floor, please.
I think before any advice, we have a point of order, two point of orders on the floor.
Okay, let's listen to
Sorry, I
Mr.
can't
Diani.
hear the attorney.
All right, so yes, we stick by an agenda. We've talked about this in the past. There is an agenda committee. I believe they met and put items on this agenda. I think we're in the right process of moving forward and doing these in accordance with the bylaws.
No, that's
So
not true either, sir.
That's false.
That's
No,
false.
you're wrong.
That's
You're
a
wrong.
lie.
And we're gonna make the
That's
motion and we're gonna vote on it.
That's a false statement, sir. I'm sorry. I will.
I'm
continue.
sorry.
okay, I'll stand corrected.
We had an agenda meeting. This
We
is
had a
the
committee
agenda that came out of that
It
meeting.
didn't work out the way it should.
Well, this is the agenda that came out of.
Again, it's still not an accurate statement from Mr. Diani, and I'm here under the impression because I have business that needs to be done personally, and I want things added to the agenda. And
Well,
I-
if it's
that's why I'm
personal, if it's
calling the order.
personal business, Mr. Katrubis, it doesn't belong in a public meeting.
Okay, I have business that needs to be done, and I want items added to the agenda. And if I'm going to be disenfranchised, just let me know right now so I can stop wasting my time because I'm walking out.
You're not being disenfranchised, but you're also not following the rules.
I would like to have a point of order, and I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to add things to the agenda, and I think other council.
We have always had an agenda, and when we came out of closed session, we would publicly announce. I'm sorry?
Obstruction, you're currently obstruct.
Yeah, well, you're not recognized either. So, look, people can't call out. They just can't do it. We have to have some order because I'm not doing this your way. I'm doing it my way, which is.
Well, I have a point of order, and I'd like to add something to the agenda.
We have always had legal counsel advise us that in order to put something on the agenda,
It's not the way it works.
agenda committee, you put it on the agenda, and then if you go into closed session and you want to add things, when you come out of closed session, you have to publicly announce that which it is that you want to add.
I would like to make a motion.
Did you do that when we came out of closed session?
I would like to make a motion to retain Galantucci and Patuto, address the 21 Main Street, Hackensack, New Jersey, as special attorney, please. Will someone second that, please?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mayor,
Second on the
We don't
floor.
have,
Did we interview them?
Second on the
I'm
floor.
sorry, Mr. Katrubis, did we interview them?
There's a motion and a second on the, there's no need to interview them. I'm bringing them as special attorney. There's a motion and a second on the floor. I want to vote.
Dominic,
yes,
I must, as the acting borough administrator, bring to everyone's attention that Galantucci and Patuto sued this borough for a tremendous amount of money.
Doesn't matter. I'm bringing Galantucci and Patuto, address the 21 Main Street.
An individual that sued, if I may.
There's a conflict with them.
There's no
If-
conflict
if
here. There's
an
no
in-
conflict here, and I want
if
to
I-
vote immediately, please. This is
Mayor.
outrageous. I'm being denied special counsel. I
Why do you need special counsel?
oh, that's wonderful. The mayor knows exactly why I need special
I
counsel.
don't know why you need.
Yes, you do, sir. You know about what case number S 2020-17 is and what's related to it. And I
No, I
strongly
don't.
suspect-
Quite frankly, all I care about right now.
One
are
moment,
cases
please, because
against
if
the
this is discussion, I would like to add this to the record. I strongly suspect that the mayor leaned hard on the Englewood Cliffs Court Administrator to show probable cause for this case. And if true, I
What
believe
case are you talking
formulate
about?
a repeated pattern, and you have tried to silence others using the same method. I'm not finished with my statement, sir. This is part of your playbook. The mayor and others care nothing about hurting people, including spending the public's money to silence and intimidate me. Why me, you ask? Because I am the one fighting for the public's rights, and I threaten to take away their power and control, all while they exploit their sheer incompetence. We are talking about the same people who pushed eminent domain with nothing more than a simple drawing. No research, no due diligence, zero. The mayor and others are trying to punish and retaliate me. In essence, we are replacing the Democratic swamp with the Republican swamp, and I am fighting against that. I am not a career politician like the mayor and others, nor do I care to be. So there's a motion and a second, and I would like a vote, please.
We have no idea what you're talking about, and quite frankly, if you want
Lie
to
all
hire
you wish,
someone,
sir, but I'm going to continue. I want a
if you want
vote,
to, I'm
please.
sorry, let me speak. There's a
I have
process.
a point of inquiry.
There's a process for hiring
I have a
people.
point of inquiry.
Hold on a second, I have the floor. Ms. McMorrow, why is it that people could unmute themselves tonight? What happened?
No, why are any council
I
members
don't-
able to speak?
Mayor, I don't know. I'm not,
It's very difficult to actually.
The only one should be you and the administrator.
I'm not touching the controls for the record, please.
I have a point of inquiry.
Look, Mr.
I have a point of
There's
inquiry.
a vote, sir. I would want a vote. Can we please take a roll call?
I want to understand what it is that you think Mr. Galantucci should be hired for, given
I
the fact
just
that he
explained it in my
represented,
statement. If you'd
he-
like, I can reread it. It's
you keep interrupting me. I let you speak.
only going to get worse, Mayor. It's going to get worse. I'm telling you.
Listen, I let you speak. I like to have my own floor here since I am the chair. I know you're not happy about that, but.
I don't want to be
You
mayor.
wanna hire a law firm that sued this town on behalf of a police chief who was acting badly, to say the least.
What does that mean? That means nothing.
It means
Who
that he
represents
has an
means
inherent
nothing.
conflict. I
Who
didn't interrupt
represents
you,
means
sir.
nothing.
I didn't interrupt you, really. I didn't interrupt you.
A lot of people suing this town.
I want my rights and I want to put it to a vote,
Look,
please. I'm not asking
We cannot, as a town, hire a conflicted law firm.
They're not conflicted. That's not
They
for
are
you to
conflicted.
determine.
They're
That's
absolutely
not for you to
conflicted.
determine.
They are
That's not for you to
conflicted.
determine. You have no qualifications to determine that. I'm sorry.
I do, because they represented,
The
as I
motion
said.
and a second, and I want my
I'm sorry,
rights
I have the
protected, please.
floor.
I'll second it. I didn't hear it, but if you could read it again, I'd
Here's the
appreciate it.
thing, just for the council members who aren't interrupting. Galantucci and Petrulio represented Chief Chaffee against this town. And that was pretty fresh, right? I'm not sure why Mr. Katrubis wants to hire them now. But it doesn't seem proper. I haven't seen a resume. There's not been an interview. There's no process. It's not acceptable. Mr. Deani, what do you say?
Believe, could be wrong, but we do have on our agenda in the resolutions, a resolution to hire special counsel for borough related matters that the borough attorney cannot handle.
That's an RFQ, Dominic.
Oh, to put out an RFQ, which I think this would probably fall under. I think the right process is, since this is on the agenda, that would, if there's a motion and a second on that resolution and a successful vote, then the RFQ can go out and the relevant firms can provide their responses. You guys can interview them like you've done with other special counsel in the past, and then put the appropriate
That's
resolution.
fine. So that's the process.
I was thrown out of this meeting. That's
You
outrageous.
were, no,
It's
no.
gonna look
you were-
wonderful. in
I
my
was thrown
complaint.
out of the meeting
were-
over and over,
Do it again, so
over and
we
over. The mayor
better.
throws us all out.
Hey, guys, we're trying to conduct business. So here's what we're
Go,
going to
Mario.
do.
No, I
Here's
want to
what-
vote. There's a motion and
Here's what we're going to
We're
do.
having a vote.
keep muting me.
No.
There's a
Mr.
motion
Deani,
and a second, and I'm not
Gianni,
gonna.
there's a motion and a second.
You're not gonna
Let's
violate.
go. Deani, let's go. Vote.
Oh, like I said,
I know you can't blow it off like my motion in a
I'm
second.
not doing this, Zoo guys. When you're ready to stop interrupting, you come back in. But the process has always been, you put out an RFQ, a request for quotes, for proposals. And then from there, you evaluate. No one just hires. And part of the evaluation is whether or not the firm that's in question has a conflict. So, Mr.
Plus-
Deani, is that?
plus if I just may add too, I also would have concerns because we don't know what their fees are, is there a cap? We have certification of funds. We don't know any of this stuff right now, and to be sprung with this is very difficult for someone to try to wade through, like right on the spot. So again, I think the most cautious and the best interest of the borough is go ahead with your resolution that's already on your agenda and proceed accordingly. I don't think there should be any issue with that.
Okay, so can you explain that to Councilman Katrubis, Di Gregorio,
What happened to the vote?
and
There's a
Luciano?
motion and a
please?
second, and I want a
No,
vote. roll
What
call.
I-
Motion in a second.
Guys.
Aye.
Johnny, how
Deani,
about something, instead of being an obstructionist, give us a legal opinion that
There's
really,
no-
Well, he was, but you keep interrupting him, okay? So please. let
you
him
keep
speak.
interrupting every.
My concerns that I raised was that, to spring this on the governing body, we don't have rates, we don't have a not to exceed amount, we don't know if there's a
We're
certification. of
just
funds.
appointing them. They can worry about the rates later, okay? Let's
I think-
cut it out.
No,
Let's
I'm not
cut it
trying,
out.
I'm not trying to be an obstructionist to you.
Yes,
I'm
you
just
are.
trying to.
I want,
no, I'm
I
not.
want a
I'm just
roll
trying-
call taken.
I'm
you are.
I
trying.
want my rights are being violated. There was a serious complaint filed against me, and I'm gonna fight this thing so hard. People are gonna wish that they never filed it, okay? This is not going away. My civil rights have
Very
been
interesting.
violated against me.
If I may,
Take a
Councilman,
vote, please.
Mayor, I'm interpreting that as a threat.
Don't interpret it.
No,
as
we
anything.
all
Don't
are
interpret
very
it
well
as
aware.
Why don't you
anything.
excuse
We
the
are
Don't
very,
interpret
I'm going,
administrator from the
this is a
meeting? Send
video
her-
recording. And we are
It
very
is
well
on the
aware
recording,
of
and
the
my
internal
violation of
harassment
my rights
complaint.
are being violated right now.
Okay, and
All I
my
want
rights,
is-
Sorry,
okay,
guys.
So the mayor and the administrator have the floor.
no, I have nothing else to say. Mr.
That's
Diani is
good. Then
aware.
please be quiet.
and-
We're not asking you.
Excuse me,
There's a
sir.
motion and a second on the floor.
Look, folks, I'm sorry to the public. We're gonna take a 5-minute break.
No, I don't want to take a break. Let's
You're
take a
going to
vote.
take a break. You're going to take a break because you all keep interrupting. And quite
You
frankly,
keep on,
it's done. Okay, we're taking a 5-minute break, 5-minute recess. I recommend to council that you get your composure, you get some sense of professionalism, and you do things the right way. Okay, we have a process. We had an agenda committee meet. No one ever raised this issue at the agenda committee level. Enough. Let's just take a break. 5-minute recess.
We noticed that one of the papers that's in our backyard that we used as a step was missing. We thought maybe it's playing around so they somebody just being accidentally. What's your reaction when you first saw it? Just shows
Welcome back.
I want to let the record reflect that the mayor disenfranchised my right to speech, and I want the record to reflect. No, I don't need to hear it from you at this point, Mr. Mayor. I want the record to reflect.
Glad you're allowed to speak at least.
That he let everybody else make their statements while he threw me out of the meeting, and I wasn't there to defend myself. One more time.
That goes with me, Tim, every single
I
time.
was
Tim.
thrown out of the
This
meeting,
is
so I'd like,
outrageous that this council allows.
We have Robert's rules. You need to be
You
recognized.
don't follow Robert's rules.
This is outrageous. that the
motion
council allows
on the
this.
floor, motion.
Guys,
There's a
There's
motion and a
on the
second.
floor.
I want to vote,
look,
please.
Mr. Diani.
the truth of the matter
Mr.
is,
Diani.
if you guys follow Robert's rules.
There's a
I-
motion
want a
and a
motion
second.
and a
There's a motion and a second. There is a motion and a second.
We don't even know what the motion is.
The
Neither do
motion,
you. That's why you won't let it go forward.
Well, actually, if it's
Or
that one,
maybe you do. That's why you don't let it go.
if it's the one that Mr. Deanne opined was unlawful, then there's no
Then
motion.
we'll
it
deal with
doesn't,
that.
no,
won't
no,
we?
no, no, it doesn't.
I don't
it-
have to recognize an unlawful motion, but I think Mr. Wu has.
Yes, you do. You
Yeah,
have to recognize all
Point of order.
motions.
point of order. I just want to make
Yeah,
a quick
Mr.
Oh,
comment.
you can have the point of order. That's freaking amazing.
He can
I-
actually. You know why?
I want to make a comment
Of
here.
course he can, because he's with you. That's why.
No, he's not with me. He's
Mr.
with
Luciano, I'm making my own comment here, okay?
Thank you, sir. I'm
I
glad
think
you can make one.
firstly,
I wish I could make
everyone,
one.
everyone is entitled to have counsel, okay? First comment. However, for the purpose of hiring counsel, we do have RFQ, and we need to know the cost per hour of the attorney that we hired. My suggestion, we had it on the agenda
This
committee.
is not a point of order.
We had it on the agenda for
This is
an
not, Mr.
RFQ.
Diani, this is not a
and-
point of
I'm
order.
sorry, Mr.
And let me
Luciano.
finish.
This is not a point of
And-
order.
And I suggest we call a special meeting immediately today and set the date for us to appoint the special counsel. Okay, but we need more information because I've been here for 5 years. This is just, we don't have any information on it. Mr. Diani, I know the mayor mentioned it was a conflict of interest. If you want to opine on that now for us, because we don't have any information on that, what is your opinion as Borough Council?
From the limited, just what I'm hearing this evening, again, being sprung, it sounds like a conflict. We would have to look at it. And I think that's why a little bit of time
Hold on a
should be
second.
reasonably necessary for you guys to go through the process. And calling a special meeting is a good idea because then you're not stalling, you can't be stalling for another month or whatever. You can get this done and accomplished before that time period.
Hold on. Okay, I thank you for your opinion, but we're talking about the very same firm who's walking out on us in 2 weeks, guys. Let's be realistic. They've been doing the dirty work of the mayor and the borough administrator, who's been obstructing this, who they've both been obstructing this process from the very
That's
beginning.
not fair.
Hold on a
That's
second,
not
Mr. Mayor. I'm
No,
not
that's
finished.
not fair. You
I'm
hold
not
on.
fin-
No, you hold on, Mr. Katrubis. You got yourself jammed up all on your own. No one did that to you. You did it yourself. Okay? It's not fair. I'm following the rules. Everything is very black and white for me. I treat people well. They treat me well. You don't treat people well, and then you end up jammed up. So that's your problem, not my problem. And to blame anyone else is very immature, okay? I don't know who's advising you, but it's bad advice. So I think the solution that Councilman Wu explained to us is probably the best at the moment, considering that, we do have an agenda committee. This wasn't raised.
Why are we still talking about this? There's a motion and a second. And as far as Mr. Wu,
it's out of bounds, Mr.
It's not out of bounds. Mr. Wu, I would just like to say, just because they're appointed doesn't mean that they're going to continue with the work. I can get you more of that information. I just want them to have them appointed for the very same reason he wants you to support Cadwalader.
So if your suggestion is we're appointing them, but that they're not starting any work yet until we get the details of their proposal?
Sure, I have no issue with that.
The fact of the matter is that they are conflicted and they themselves.
That's a bunch of BS. They know Mario's dirty tricks. That's what.
William.
They know all of Mario's dirty tricks. That's why he doesn't want them, okay? That's
William, could we get it? Could we take a vote, William?
Oh my God, you guys are really out of control tonight, because here's the thing, right? As a law firm, Galantucci should know better than even wanting to represent you, because he can't, as a matter of ethics. And Mr. Deanne will evaluate that. Mr. Wu had proposed a solution.
I'd like to take a vote.
That's it. We're not voting on an illegal or unlawful motion.
I think that you'll find that
it's unlawful, according to Mr. Deanne. We're not doing it.
Okay, so.
All right. So next on the agenda.
You cannot vote on an item that's not on the agenda that the public hasn't had an opportunity to speak to.
Okay, I would suggest that we adjourn this meeting right now. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
What does that? We have business to do.
Motion to adjourn.
Look, if you have somewhere more important to be, go. Please go, because you don't contribute anyway. All right.
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
We have no, guys. It's ridiculous. We have business to conduct.
Okay, then I would like to make another motion.
Really, you don't have the floor. We have an agenda. We have items on this agenda, including the payment of our borough's employees, okay? That's what we're going to do next. At the end of this meeting, if the recalcitrant councilmen want to continue their own little dialogue, they can do that. Let's stop wasting all our time. Mr. Wu gave a proper solution. Let's have an RFQ and then a special meeting and do things the right way. Thank you, Mr. Wu. Next on the agenda were minutes for approval. These are May 18th, 2021 from the closed session, June 9th, 2021 caucus, June 9th, 2021 regular meeting, June 9th, 2021 closed session. July 16th, 2021 special meeting, closed session, July 16th, 2021 special meeting.
Mayor, that should be June 16th, just for a correction.
June 16th, okay, I'm sorry, yes, you're right. I was just reading and I apologize, it's been a long day. So those last two were June 16th. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion. Can we put all of them together, vote on all of them together?
That's fine.
Yes.
The roll call.
Who seconded? I didn't hear a second, Mayor.
I'll second.
Okay, we're in the middle of a vote. We're in the middle of a vote for approving the minutes that are listed on the agenda. These are May 18th, June 9th, June 9th, June 9th.
Point of order, please.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking. June 16th.
I'd like to. No, I'd like to.
There's a motion and a second. Could I have a roll call, please?
What motion in a second? I wasn't allowed in the meeting. It should not allowed to continue. He threw me out.
You know, you were put in the waiting room because you're.
No, you have
interrupting-
no right to
you're-
put
you're
me in the
disrupting-
waiting
yes,
room.
under
You have
NJSA
no right to put me in the waiting room.
No,
You
actually.
have no
under-
right. I'm a sitting council person.
No,
You have
you,
no right.
no, no,
sir.
under NJSA 4860.
You know, no, no. Look, save it, Mr. Mayor. okay?
5C,
I'd like to make
the
a motion,
mayor-
please, to
Oh, my
have the
goodness.
5:18 minutes tabled.
That motion can be made, Mayor. If I did hear Councilman Katrubis ask that the May 18th closed session be tabled.
Why would that be?
I want to make a motion to have the 5:18 minutes tabled.
What's the reason for that?
The very same reason we had the previous 5:18 minutes tabled.
What's the reason for that?
You can refer to the borough attorney. I'm sure he
I
knows.
would, yeah, I would not.
He's the one that opined on that.
Can you let the borough
To
attorney speak?
allow it to happen when.
Can you let the borough attorney speak and stop interrupting him, please?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, the motion to table is appropriate. If there's a second on this.
I seconded. I
This is a
seconded.
closed, okay, these are closed session minutes. So again, my opinion, I don't believe that we can have a discussion about that right now. There should be a discussion, probably why it's being tabled, and it should be put on an executive session, whether it's at the special meeting you're talking about or the next meeting. But it's an appropriate motion, but there shouldn't be any discussion because it's closed session minutes, please.
Take a vote.
So is the vote for the removal of May 18th first?
The table 5:18 minutes.
I'm asking Dominic.
Yeah, that would be the first motion, and then if that's successful, then it will be the motion to approve the remaining minutes on the agenda.
Okay, but I'm still looking for an actual reason. Mr. Katrubis said you know the reason. Can you please relay the reason?
For the same reason that we tabled the 5:18 minutes. the
Okay,
open
but
session
that's
minutes.
childish. I'm asking for.
I'm not a
some-
child, sir. That's again more
But
abuse. I
there's
don't need
gotta
to
be
speak any
a-
more than I need to. There's a
there's gotta
motion in
be
a
a-
second. Let's take a vote.
I'm asking for a substantive reason so I understand why you want to table them. Please explain.
I'm not explaining anything further. The council is not stupid, okay? They
You
know
have a-
why.
Well, how do people always know what's on your brain, but except me? I never know what's
More
on.
abuse. It's gonna look great. It's gonna look great. Keep
Can we
going.
take a vote?
What is
Move
your
on?
reason for removing those minutes? I'd like
I
to know.
told you for the very same reason for removing the 5:18 open session minutes. You want to keep abusing me and harassing me?
It's not
No
harassing,
problem.
it's not abusing.
Yes, sir.
But you
Just
made
take
a
a vote.
statement. You
I have
made a
nothing
motion.
further to say.
Oh my
And
God.
I really don't want, I really don't want discussion on it, to be honest, because. it's
Thank
closed
you.
Do
session
you know,
minutes.
Dominic, why it is? Do you know why he wants to take these off?
Possibly, but the motion's appropriate, that's all I say.
Well, I'd like to understand what you're voting on.
We can discuss it when it's placed on the agenda at the next meeting. I think then we can have a robust discussion about it.
So if it was taken off the last meeting and you've had 30 days to tell us about it. and you
Those
still
were,
haven't-
those were the regular meeting minutes, I believe, Mayor, that were tabled previously. These weren't on an agenda yet for approval.
Constantly kicked out.
Mayor?
All right, well, look, I'm
Ready
not
for the
voting.
vote?
The council wants to vote, let them vote on it.
Mayor?
I'm not sure if there should be any comment by anybody right now.
Ms.
I think
McMorro,
we
go
should
ahead.
just go for the vote.
Ms. McMorro, go ahead, do the discussion.
Yeah, just Dominic, just so that you make sure that the council is aware, the May 18th minutes were tabled until the council was going to determine if they were going to be transcribed by an outside company, because Ms. Borchers publicly stated she was not comfortable with having direction to redo minutes that were already done.
Minutes are not supposed
And
to
the
be
reason,
transcribed.
and the
sorry.
reason, for the record, I prepared these minutes as well, under the direction of Mr. Bernstein's office. I'm not mentioning content. And this is, again, another act to retaliate against me because I did the minutes. That's all I have to say.
All right.
The minutes are incorrect.
Let's have the vote, and let's respect the chair. Go ahead, Ms. Borcher, please have a roll call. This is on tabling the May 18th closed session minutes.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Park. Councilman Park.
I can't hear you. You have to unmute, Mark. Unmute.
You have to
Mark.
mute yourself, Mark.
He has to unmute himself.
Yes.
Councilman Park.
I can't hear you, Ms. Borchers.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
We can't
Councilman
hear you. I
Farrow?
don't know who you're calling.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Yes, I say table. I'm with Tim on this one.
Ms. Borchers, we're having a little trouble hearing you though.
Councilman Luciano,
Oh, yes, to table.
Councilman Katurbis,
Yes.
Okay, so we had another motion to approve all the minutes on the agenda.
Motion to table all the minutes.
I'm sorry.
Second.
That's a motion and a second. Take the vote.
Take the vote.
So there is a motion already.
Yeah, there was a
Yes,
motion.
but a motion
There's a
to
motion
table
already.
takes precedence. Explain to them, Mr. Diani.
You're moving,
That's what I was told last week, the last
You're-
meeting we have. Motion to table takes precedence.
We had a
Unless
motion.
we're changing the rules every time.
We had a motion and a second to approve all the minutes, and then we had a motion to table that was approved for May 18th. Mr. Deanne, now Mr. Luciano wants to table everything else because why should any business ever get done at these meetings, right? So-
Second, I
Correct.
second.
As long as you're
I'm asking
talking, there's
Mr.
no
Deanne.
business being taken care of. Send me to the waiting room.
Mr.
You can do the same to me.
Luciano,
Send me
I'm
to the
waiting
waiting
for
room. Go ahead.
Mr. Deanne to speak. Please be courteous enough to let him have the floor.
the pending motion to approve the minutes minus the May 18th minutes, which have been tabled, should go to a vote.
Okay.
Also, the motion to table doesn't
Borchers-
count.
Ms. Borchers, please have the vote.
Mr. Diani, the motion to table doesn't count with a second.
I said,
Mr. Diani, the motion to table doesn't count with the second.
Guys, you don't have the floor.
Yeah, we have
Mr. Diani, the motion to second doesn't count?
a
Council
pending motion
President Wu.
already.
no.
I can't hear.
No,
Can't hear you, Councilman
no.
Park,
No.
What are we voting on?
We're
Councilman
voting
Park,
on approving the minutes other than May 18th.
Yes.
Councilman Farrell? Yes. Councilman Di Gregorio.
I cannot hear anybody.
Councilman Di Gregorio.
I will not approve any minutes. And I believe everything should have been tabled.
It's a no vote.
And there was a second on the
Councilman
floor.
Luciano.
I make a motion to table.
I second that motion.
Mr. Diani, how does the motion to table not work this week, but it worked last week? How did
We're
that
in the middle
work?
of a roll
I don't know
call.
what you're talking about.
Councilman Katurbis.
Mr. Deani, I think it would be good if you would
Let's go back
resign.
and review your opinions from your office then, because a motion to table is what happens after a motion. So a motion to table does take precedence, and I've made a motion to table. There was a second. The
Second.
vote should have never continued on. The motion to table, if you, Robert's Rules of Order, Mr. Mayor, look at,
Sir, we're in the middle of a roll call. Mr.
No.
Diaz advised us.
No,
Have a
Mr.
vote.
Deani, I think this is,
Mr. Di Gregorio, you voted. Ms. Borchers, you may continue.
Councilman Katurbis.
Yes, the table.
Well, it's not the table.
It's
It's,
not the tabling.
this is to approve. Yes or no? Please pay attention.
Everyone's talking about table. I'm getting thrown out of meetings and I'm the one that has to pay attention. Motion to approve? No.
Okay, so it fails. None of these minutes have been approved. Thank you, Ms. Borchers and Ms. McMorrow for actually preparing them for this meeting. I'm sorry that council, which probably hasn't even read any of them, is not going to vote on them. So
I'd
at
like
this
to make a
time, I'd like
motion
to-
to retain Galatucci and Pizzuto, again, with no work being completed until the council gets more information and they submit a valid RFQ, please. Someone please second. I see other people.
I'll second it.
I would second it, but continually muted. I've been here for 4 hours and 3 hours and 40
Mr.
minutes.
Deani,
I don't
Mr.
have-
Deani,
You guys,
Thanks,
how
the
can
mayor.
how can
Thanks,
we
the
run
mayor.
a meeting for being muted?
I'm sorry, guys. Robert's Rules of Order. Follow them, okay?
There's a motion and a second.
There's a motion and a second. Ms. Borchers, let's have a roll call.
I'm sorry. What are we doing, Mayor? I'm sorry about that.
It's a
What is it really
motion to
called for?
retain Galatucci and Patudo with no work being completed until they submit a proper RFQ.
And Mr. Deanne, please write them a letter that they're conflicted.
They'll be very happy to receive it.
Yeah, every mayor's conflicted.
Council President Wu,
That's exactly right, Mr. Luciano. Thank you. We are conflicted.
Yes, you're conflicted. You're conflicted being mentally unstable.
Galantucci and I are conflicted because he represented our police chief that was acting poorly. So
That
thank
has
you for
nothing-
acknowledging that. So now if you vote for this, you're breaching your fiduciary duties. Go ahead, sir.
That's an incorrect statement. Don't listen
That
to
is,
that.
but the mayor only says incorrect statements.
That's a false statement and it's going on the record as well, Mr. Mayor. You should
Thank
just
you, Mr.
stop while you're.
Judas.
stop while
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you.
Ms. Borchers,
Thank
please
you.
continue.
Council President Wu. Council President Wu,
I'm gonna have to abstain.
Councilman Park,
Okay, already William, your Councilman William Wu mentioned about we want to do special, the meeting for this case, why we brought in here. So I'm gonna say vote no.
Councilman Farrell,
No,
Councilman Di
Yeah, I don't hear you.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
I say we bring it on and hire them.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Then say yes.
Councilman Luciano, Councilman
He's
Luciano.
muted. He's muted.
All right, we'll unmute him. Go ahead, unmute
Oh,
him.
thank you, Mayor. Thank you for unmuting me to vote. I greatly appreciate it. You're such a gentleman and a scholar. It's amazing. I vote to hire Galantucci to go against the mayor and his dictatorship.
Councilman Katrubis,
Yes.
Mr. Wu, do you state as that abstention?
Yes, until we have further information. So he's not doing anything at the
well,
moment.
he's hiring,
It's hiring them.
Hooray.
he's hiring.
William, who's hiring Galantucci and Patudo.
I'd like to make a motion on the floor. Motion, please.
Well, he's got to submit his RFQ. He can't do any work at the
Well,
moment.
That's not the way we voted.
So
Exactly the way we.
as far as I'm concerned, there's got to be another vote on this. So I'm abstaining for this vote.
Mr. Deanne, is that correct? That there's another vote on this before they could do any work?
They're being hired.
Yeah, the motion was, how I heard it was to retain them, but they don't do any work until an RFP response is provided to the borough and reviewed. So that's how I heard it. Sounded pretty clear to me. That's the progression.
That's how I heard it, and that's how I'm voting.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to open to the public, please?
Move.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I had a motion on the floor.
There's no
and I'd
motion
like-
for it.
You know
I
what?
had a
Can you
motion-
please stop muting me?
We're opening to
please-
the public because you guys keep yelling out of turn, okay? So, like I said, later on, you guys could do all the howling you want, but right now we have a meeting. So if there's a member of the public who wishes to be heard, please virtually raise your hand and wait for me to recognize you before speaking. Let me just see. I'm sorry, I don't see any virtual hands.
David? Big Mr. David,
I just wanted to ask because I lost.
Can you state your name and address, please?
Sorry, David Sacker, 12 Egan Place. I'm looking at the agenda. Was resolution 155 passed? That's the RFP Special Counsel for Borough Legal Matters.
We haven't gotten to that point yet, sir.
Oh, okay,
We're in a public portion.
but it's coming up on the agenda?
Yes.
No, we just took a vote. He just doesn't want to acknowledge it.
I'm sorry, which one are you talking about? We haven't done resolutions. That was a motion that we just had.
Okay, I'll wait.
Well, you don't have to wait if you raised your hand, if you want to say something about that one, because this is the public portion. We're not going to open up again.
Well, I heard a lot of this, a lot of argument about appointing or hiring a special counsel. Wasn't clear to me at the end of the vote whether that passed or not.
So there were two on the agenda. Actually, there were three on the agenda, right? So there was 154, 155, and 156.
Right.
What was just voted on now was neither of them. It was a motion to hire a law firm that Mr. Katrubis wants so desperately, and
right. Okay.
That's the one that just happened.
Did that motion pass?
I believe so. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Mr. Luciano is, I don't know why somebody's calling my cell phone and I'm playing with it.
Yeah, I'm calling your cell phone because I've been out of the meeting for 90% of the meeting, so you can let me back in.
You're here.
That's why, yeah.
If you're
I
out
know,
of the
I'm here
meeting-
now. I'm here now.
If you're out of the
90% of
meeting,
it
you
not.
have to- all right.
Really? All right, I know.
Really?
My hand's up too. I'd like to talk as a
But
member
this
of
is
the
the
public.
public portion. You're actually.
Yeah, I'm a member of the public. I could step down just like Mrs. McMorrow did in history to step down and speak as a member of the public. So my hand's up, just so you know.
Okay, when I get to you, I'll call on you.
I know, you'll get to me in an hour, so I appreciate it.
Well, there's other people who haven't had the floor yet tonight, so I'd like to hear.
Of course, I haven't had the floor either because I've been out of the meeting 90% of the time.
Mrs. O'Shea, go ahead.
There you go.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm concerned about Mr. Councilman Katrubis's wanting to hire a firm, Galantucci's, who had represented Chief Chiaffi in an expensive lawsuit against the borough. And also to hire somebody without having an RFQ, which is appropriate, and without knowing his hourly rate, and without having to know who else would also want to be hired for special counsel. And the other thing is, when you hire a special counsel, I think you need to hire him for a specific reason. You hire him for affordable housing. You hire him for the lawsuit where 800 Sylvan is suing us. You hire him for a specific reason. And you just don't hire a special counsel in a blanket form, which without anything preceding it. So if you follow your attorney's advice and put it on an item for a future meeting, you have to have the RFQ out there for a specific number of times so other attorneys can also apply, and then they can all be interviewed and their rates can be compared and they can be checked for conflict. They can be checked for contributions to one political party or another. You just don't do these things like that. And I have to say, it's very disturbing as a resident to listen to these meetings, to listen to Mr. Luciano, to Mr. Katrubis, and Mr. DeGorio, constantly interrupting, constantly making accusations, and not behaving in any type of decorum. It's outlandish. They are elected officials. They are there to represent the people. They're not there for their own political grandizement to speak and to make a charade out of our council meetings. It's wrong. It's very wrong. And Mr. DeGorio will second anything anybody does without knowing what the hell he's talking about. Okay? So, you know, I take great offense as a resident, and it's wrong. And it really needs to stop. They just can't keep going like this. So I hope that when you put this on a meeting for the future, you have it with ample time that other firms can apply with the RFQ, and also that you have the reason for the RFQ, your reason for the special counsel. What is he being hired for? Okay, that needs to be clarified. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Shea. Mr. Mehta, I saw your hand was up. I'm sorry, you need to unmute yourself.
Heyman Mehta, 75 Roberts Road. I heard you make a comment that there was some kind of conflict of interest between the attorney Mr. Katrubis wanted and the borough. So all of a sudden there is a conflict of interest today, but there was no conflict of interest when the borough hired Ms. McMorrow, who had sued the borough and collected her lots of monies in settlements and who has constantly sued the borough. So was there no conflict of interest then? Why do we have two different standards today?
Well, the last I understood was that Mr. McMorrow or Ms. McMorrow never hired Mr. Galantucci.
Yeah,
so
but
I'm not sure what, I'm sorry, I don't understand your conflicts question, because conflicts runs between a law firm and the town. Mr. Katrubis is part of the governing body, which was adverse to Mr. Galantucci's firm in the past, in the recent past, in the very recent past, actually. And now Mr. Katrubis wants to hire that firm. So, you know, there's an issue there.
Okay.
If you don't see it, I know that you like to play lawyer, but in fact, this is something that Mr. Deanne has guided us on already tonight and said that there was a conflict. So look, whether or not there is or isn't, we'll leave it up to the attorneys. And if there is, then it's next person in the RFQ. Why would you care if we just followed the process like we always did and had an RFQ where multiple firms apply and they're all evaluated and there's somebody selected?
Okay, no.
You have a problem with following the rules?
No. Let's not talk about the rules. I do not want to get into the rules which you are preaching today, because I don't think those rules are.
You're not following those rules. That's why you don't want to discuss them.
No, I can go into and discuss more rules which are not being followed by the same council and you.
Like what?
If you're 1 second, please let me complete.
No, if you're going to say that, then support your statement. Otherwise, don't say it, because we
will go
to follow all the rules, Mr. Mehta. You
Yes,
may think so, but you're also not the person who's spending 8 to 10 hours as a volunteer running this firm. You're just showing up and doing whatever you do. But in fact, there are rules, there are processes, there are bylaws, there's ordinances, there's resolutions.
Okay, so
we follow those.
Okay, thank you, but let me complete. So you are saying the law represented Ms. McMorrow would have conflict of interest, but McMorrow, who actually—
No, I'm not saying anything. You're saying—
1 second, that's Mr. Deanne.
No. Just be careful what you say. I speak for myself. Someone like you will never speak for me, okay? Let's get that straight, okay?
Okay, so you can speak for yourself. You do not need to start fighting with me. I'm just asking a simple question. The simple question, which in my layman, which I understand, that when Ms. McMorrow sued the borough, she did not have a conflict of interest. Only the law firm representing her had the conflict of interest.
Well, the last time I checked, Ms. McMorrow is not an attorney. She's not bound by the canons of ethics of attorneys. I know Mr. Galantucci sometimes feels like he's not bound by them either. But in fact, he is a licensed attorney in the state of New Jersey and has to be following the same ethics rules that other attorneys do. You, as a civilian, a layperson, Ms. McMorrow as a civilian, as a layperson, do not subject themselves and are not subjected to the rules of ethics of lawyers. Why is that so difficult for you to comprehend, understand?
Okay, so currently, do they have a litigation against the borough? If they don't, then I believe there's no conflict of interest. Even if
you know what, you could believe anything you want, and your feelings are your feelings. But the facts,
Mr. Mr. Kranjak, you are an attorney,
The
and
facts
I know the law.
The
And
facts and
that's why-
ethics have nothing to do with your feelings or beliefs.
No,
okay?
it has nothing to do with my feelings.
All right.
Basically, there is no conflict of interest. So I think this is just a made-up story here.
Personally, I don't care who gets hired, but I just want to follow the process. So maybe that didn't come through.
Okay,
All right.
that's different.
I really don't care, but I just want to follow the process. Which for whatever reason, and actually this takes me to, you know, the whole notion of leadership, elected officials, judges, and people in general. We all need to be consistent, right? In everything we do.
Correct.
We have to apply, Mr. Mehta, to you. They have to apply to me.
Correct.
Every day, not just when you feel like it, you know, it's got to apply to everyone all the time. That's my position. That's what I strive for.
As long as the same rules are applied, I agree. But I don't see that those same rules are being applied. Actually, they're being broken here.
But you keep saying these things, but you're not supporting any of them with facts. So these
So
are
do you want me to write up history and basically support it? Can we actually show it on the screen if I write it up for the next meeting? And can we share it with the people so that people see it? And should I be able to?
You and Mr. Katrubis email to the whole town consistently. Some nights you do it 3 times in an evening.
Mr. Kranjak,
so
those emails got you and your other people elected, not you.
Sorry,
so now.
Hold on a second, let me finish. Your facts, your beliefs are yours. They may not be the right facts. So you can write whatever you want, but you can't force me to parrot whatever you write. That's not my style, right? That's other people's here. Give them to Karen Geiger. She's more than happy to publish anything that Mr. Katrubis or Mr. DiGregorio will give her. All right, members of the public, is there anyone else on the phone?
Actually speak to Mrs. O'Shea, who made a comment about me before.
I'm sorry, Mr. Katrubis, we're not going back and forth. Miss Marcy Whitman has her hand up and I'd like to call on her, but I haven't heard from her. You can unmute yourself, Miss Whitman.
Thank you. Martin Whitman, 66 Irving Avenue. I wanted to address a concern that I have regarding the appeal for the on the court decision upholding the affordable housing settlement. I feel that we are putting our town at great risk. We're putting our residents at a very risk of higher taxes to pay for a lot of legal bills when we have expressly waived our right to appeal, and that is outlined in the decision. We have now had 2 sets of attorneys resign, apparently because they felt that we were not abiding by their guidance. And I feel like the decision is settled and we're throwing good money after bad to continue to litigate. Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. So there's a couple of different ways to look at everything, right? You pay now or you pay later, but you're paying. And then the question becomes, when are you paying more, right? Are you paying more by defending your rights? I just read, I don't know if you were on the screen, Judge Gallipoli basically got involved in our settlement, which is out of bounds for a judge, right? And, you know, how does that affect the settlement agreement itself? That I always felt that we never had a proper trial to come to anyway. So your points are very well taken. I am very fiscally conservative and don't
you're not.
money
Already.
we put out where we don't have to, and if we don't have to. But you know, Ms. Whitman, the guy that Gallipoli was actually writing to, Al Wunsch, he was our borough attorney with no affordable housing experience. Why do you suppose that the governing body in 2019 and 2020 made him the point man? I've heard other words be used, but the point man on affordable housing. The guy, he's a DUI attorney, right? Now all of a sudden he's involved in the most important case this town has ever had, other than the school case that Ms. Geiger was involved with, you know, you can read all about that in the Bergen Record also.
I've lived in this town since I've been 10 years old, so I'm well aware of a lot of the history.
Right.
And it just seems to me that with the recent rulings, we don't have a good chance of winning. And we have $1.7 million in the budget for litigation that will be blown away if we go ahead with additional litigation.
Point well taken. So in your view, are you saying that if I see that Judge Gallipoli was putting his finger on the scales of justice to hurt this town, potentially, that I should just look the other way? Because I took an oath of office, right? So you didn't, you could say what you just said, but if I see something that's not right, I can't just look the other way, right?
What was his exact position,
I'm not,
Gallipoli, at the time?
hold on a second, I'm talking to Ms. Whitman. So that's kind of the, just so you understand how I have to function, because I am actually, I'm not a politician, I'm not a professional career politician. I self-imposed 2 terms on myself. I'm halfway through my 2nd term. I'm not the garden variety New Jersey politician who's going to stay there for 40 years and become fabulously wealthy doing what he does, like our prior mayors, right? I'm here for 2 terms. I'm just here to do my job and to take your viewpoint, which I really do appreciate, because I have to figure out, how do I actually make things right without spending a lot of money, right? So it's not so easy. I appreciate your comments, though. Is there anyone else from the public who has any questions or comments?
I'd just like to endorse Whitman.
I'm sorry, I was calling on Ms. Geiger, actually, because it's always fun to hear from her. I haven't heard from her in a while. I do, from time to time, Ms. Geiger, I do see the things that you stay up late at night writing, and sometimes I actually find it amazing that you have almost instant information that I get from Mr., I guess, Gregorio, probably, right? So, you know, maybe the Bergen Record will actually absorb your newsletter. Go ahead, Ms. Geiger, and state your name and address, please.
Thank you. Karen Geiger, 270 Alfred Street, and I'm going to ignore each of your snide comments. I want to comment first on Mr. Katrubis and his quest for counsel. I have watched this mayor and council for many, many years, and I have never, ever seen a situation where the council doesn't support its own, and that is deplorable. I have watched you put every obstacle in the face of Tim Katrubis obtaining counsel and representation paid for by the borough, and shame on all of you. As far as the settlement agreements that were signed last October were intended to end the costly 5-year-long Mount Laurel litigation. They were also intended and did reduce the required affordable housing in the borough. The court mandated affordable housing in the borough from 347 units to 177. They reduced the number of units that 800 Sylvan could build from 600 units to 450. They restored the borough's immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits. They restored the power of the board's planning board over our own local zoning. And they provided height and density restrictions in overlay zones. Now, with an appeal filed, all of that is at risk. The settlement agreements, as Mrs. Whitman pointed out, also provided that they could not be appealed by any party, and that the appeal would be a breach subject to sanctions, penalties, and potential invalidation of the settlement. When the settlement was signed last October, the litigation should have been over. Instead, since January 2021, the council has breached and tried to invalidate the settlement agreements. After losing a lawsuit challenging the settlement agreements based on a conflict of interest, this council filed an appeal last week. The action of filing the appeal is a clear and obvious breach of the settlements. I want to know, and I believe that the entire community is entitled to know, what this council realistically expects will follow from filing the appeal. I trust that the council understands that once an appeal has been filed, the voluminous court record cannot be supplemented. All of the comments about Judge Gallipoli and his memos are all a smokescreen designed to deflect from the issues at hand. Judge Gallipoli was appointed to review the site plans of the borough. He is not Judge Farrington. He reports to her on whether those site plans should have been approved. He did not determine the numbers that the borough had to meet, and he did not engineer or write or negotiate the settlement agreements. The court will now have to deal with all of this. I believe that the community is entitled to know what the risks are of appeal and what are the costs involved. In my opinion, based on attending court during the trial and analyzing the documents on e-courts that pertain to this litigation, you, the Borough Council, by bringing an appeal, are risking the following. You will increase from 177 to 347 the number of affordable housing units that will be built in the borough. You may once again lose immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits. You may prevent the planning board from exercising control over local zoning. You will cause the number of residential units at 800 Sylvan to increase to 600 from 450. You may subject the borough's taxpayers to substantial monetary fines that could increase, double, and triple as time goes on. Incidentally, the United States Supreme Court has upheld the right of courts to fine municipalities for failure to abide by court orders, particularly with respect to a disadvantaged class. You may also force the borough to pay $1.8 million or more of the costs and expenses incurred by 800 Sylvan when in good faith reliance they dealt with the settlement agreements. As you know, the borough has already been ordered to pay 800 Sylvan and fair share over $130,000 relating to the breach. You risk a lengthy and expensive court challenge as well related to the planning board's approval of 65 Hudson Terrace, the affordable housing project, which will expose the borough to the risk of losing valuable 9% tax credit financing for that project. The loss of 9% tax credit financing subsidies alone could result in a shortfall of more than $7 million on that Hudson Terrace project. The borough is committed to issue bonds to cover any shortfalls in that $20 million plus project cost. You will cost the taxpayers of this borough millions from lawyers and litigation. And in a couple of related points on attorneys, you fired the borough's former affordable housing team in January. You hired attorney Michael Jaziniak to be the new affordable housing attorney, but he quit in March, saying you wouldn't listen to his advice. You then hired Mr. Bernstein, already the borough attorney, to replace him, and now he has also resigned. Now you are hiring another law firm, Headwallader, to create a witch hunt at public expense. What are you paying these people per hour? You asked about what Mr. Katrubis Mr. Katrubis's attorneys would be charging. Why don't you reveal to the public what a top New York corporate law firm charges? And as far as money, where's the money coming from to pay for all this? The borough budget has yet to be adopted. My calculations show that in the treatment of $335,000 of 2020 legal fees, it resulted in a budget that exceeded state guidelines. The proposed budget had about 1.7 million for affordable housing. How much of that is left? How much is available to fund an appeal and defend the borough against the court orders that will now likely follow? What will be the source of paying the $1.8 million that 800 Sylvan is now pursuing? Will the borough have to issue more bonds? We know that 800 Sylvan has the right to build on its property no matter what the settlement agreement says because of its successful builder's remedy lawsuit. If the settlement were to be invalidated, where will you build all the affordable housing units that are required? And what money are you going to use to build them? Will you protect our residential areas? How? Will you protect the borough from other builders' remedy lawsuits that may be filed if the court should suspend our zoning? Again, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, what is your plan going forward? It's easy to litigate. It's easy to spend our tax dollars. It's difficult to deliver a plan that tells the community that you are doing any more than wasting our money right now. Thank you.
So what Ms. Geiger doesn't mention to everyone is that she actually sued with the developer. She's kind of joined at the hip with them, but you won't read about that in her newsletter, Eye on the Cliffs, will you? You probably won't even read about how the scales of justice were tipped out of our favor and into the developer's favor back in September by Judge Gallipoli's emails to Wunsch. I'm sure there's more that we need to get our hands on. So you're not going to read about that and how much was spent on Wunsch and Serenian, Troutner, and Marinello over 2019 and 2020, which is about, I think, like $3 million. You're not going to read about any of that because she so desperately wants to have 800 Sylvan build the units and perhaps a statue to her honor at the entrance. And you're also not going to read in Eye on the Cliffs the fact that you can't turn a fire truck around in that 450 unit development. You can't do it. And she won't write about that because she's like no better than the Bergen Records. So there you have it. Who else wants to speak from the public? Dr. Sacker, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm David Sacker at 12 Egan Place, and I'm speaking just to add one very tiny voice in agreement with Ms. Whitman and Ms. Geiger. The residents need to understand that the $1.7 million being proposed in the budget for pursuing a hopeless appeal is the least of our problems. The real cost of this fruitless enterprise is in the punitive measures that it will bring down on our heads. Millions more in costs, loss of rights over our own zoning, loss of immunity from builders' suits, tremendous percentage increase in the number of units that 800 Sylvan can build. It's a strong word, but frankly, I believe that it is insanity to pursue this appeal, because it strikes me as the same kind of insanity as a defeated president going appeal after appeal after appeal after suit after suit after suit to try to overturn an election. It ain't gonna happen. And this victory in an appeal is not going to happen, and it needs to be stopped because it is a pursuit at the expense of the interests of the town being sacrificed on the altar of political egos, and it's got to stop.
Yes, it has to stop.
Okay,
Totally agree.
So, Doctor, thank you for your comments. I'm just surprised how much intellectual and factual curiosity you actually lack in any of this. I just raised issues of the judge putting his thumb on the scales, and you're okay with that. Ms. Geiger's okay with that.
Was he a judge or was he not a judge at the time?
He's a judge.
Did you listen to what Ms. Geiger said?
He's a special hearing officer who's a retired judge. So
okay, so be accurate.
So that's okay. So that's okay then for Judge Farrington appointed him as her representative. Okay, he's her agent as far as I'm concerned. So I hope that she deals with him and that we don't have to.
I think the most important word.
But you're okay with that, right? You guys are all fine with that. Because you know why? Because you're not consistent. Dr. Sacker, Ms. Geiger, you are the most inconsistent people ever, right? Because you're unable to apply laws and facts consistently from one moment to the other. You just do whatever serves your political interests, your political friends' interests, and you're happy doing that. And Ms. Geiger, you're happy writing about that, and you send it all over the town. And yeah, and by the way, four out of 6 council members who voted for this terrible settlement either resigned right after, didn't run for office for re-election, and I think 2 or 3 of them actually left town. So that in itself raises eyebrows also. Who does that, right? Okay, Ms. Villari, I saw that your hand was up, and I can't find you now. Let me find your number. All right, Ms. Villari, I'm not, oh, I see you here. Go ahead, Ms. Villari. Go ahead, Ms. Villari.
Oh, yes, thank you. For some reason, it was not unmuting me. I've been sitting here listening to all this, and obviously we have some people who have extreme thoughts and what they would like to see and do. What I would like to speak about is a little bit of a history here. Having lived here for 35 years, I have seen the antics that the Democrats usually play on people, and they talk about residents nonstop, and we're trying to protect the residents. And I understand, that that's just their political standpoint. But what no one is really addressing is that, Ms. Geiger, you basically led the lawsuit to sever our school affiliation with Englewood. And then we were called racists. And Englewood Cliffs was immediately stopped from sending our children to any other schools, something that didn't happen anywhere in the country. And we spent how many millions for that, Ms. Geiger? It seems like, to me, you're on the wrong side then, and you're on the wrong side now. As far as I am concerned, as a resident who lived through the lawsuits, to the point where other schools would not allow our children, even after the lawsuit was settled, they would not allow our children to go to their schools and pay tuition because of what we cost them, those towns that got dragged into our lawsuit that you and your Democrat friends decided was the best thing to do for the rest of us without even knowing about it. I wasn't even aware of it until it happened. So all I'm trying to say is that all the money that's been spent, ladies and gentlemen, has been to achieve some kind of an outcome that is favorable to the Democrats, that is hurting this town. No matter what happens, whether we appeal this or whether we go along with this, it is going to cost the residents of this town a lot of money. And I don't think it is fair to just spew your lies because you've aligned yourself with a party that has not done right for this town for many, many, many years. We did not build one housing. Why? Why are we sitting here condemning Mayor Kranjak and condemning Republican supporters? And what does the President of the United States have got to do anything with this, Mr. Sacker? Shame on you for making it a political statement. So all I'm trying to say is that I believe that we need to do something. I want to fight for this town. This town is going to be destroyed, whether you want to admit it or not, whether the Democrats will tell you or not. Ms. Sabari, Miss Geiger, Dr. Aversa, you know, they all did their dirty work. And where are they? Where are they? They're not here to defend what they did. Because whatever the deal was, ladies and gentlemen, and if you don't believe that it happens, then you're all living in la la land, is that deals were made. And you can laugh all you want, Miss Geiger, but deals were made. You know it. Miss Sabari knows it. Miss O knows it. Mr. Aversa knows it. And so do these other three people that are just interrupting a meeting where you can't even get one word in edgewise. Shame on you. You should all be ashamed of yourself. And I feel bad that this town will be destroyed. New Jersey is the only state in the union that is allowing this. What makes you think this is happening? Because Democrats are running New Jersey. And so if you want to say I'm wrong, you know, we have to be a little bit aware of what's going on. It's a shame that a lot of people aren't and believe the BS that you people have been pushing for 35 years. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you as well. Well done. Appreciate that. Ms. McMorrow, I saw your hand is up. As a resident, you may speak at this point.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that Mr. Diani's office is aware of this. I had asked for an attorney to be able to consult with, and I was denied that right. I was told that the insurance company denied it, and I was advised that Mr. Katrubis was also advised that. Yet the council tonight is affording Mr. Katrubis an attorney to consult with, but I was denied the ability to have an attorney to consult with by an issue that was brought about upon me. And everyone is aware what that issue is. Thank you very much.
Mario,
I'd like to speak on that.
Sorry, I'm not recognizing you at the moment because there's another resident that has their hands up. LUTS Lutz. I'm sorry.
You have to unmute.
You're appearing on my screen as Lutz.
LUTS. You have to unmute.
You have to unmute yourself, sir, or ma'am.
Hi, it's Deborah Sabari. I had to come in under a different name because I couldn't get in under my own name. So what I wanted to ask the mayor and council is why Mr. Bernstein stepped down as our attorney.
You could ask Mr. Deanne. Mr. Deanne, you want to answer that?
I don't have much information. I'm sorry, Ms. Sabari. I know Mr. Bernstein provided correspondence. He's not here to answer to that. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. If he provided correspondence, could somebody read us that correspondence from the council as to why he stepped down? Is that not possible? I'm sure that every council member has that piece of correspondence. It just seems to feel like any attorney who disagrees with Mr. Kranjak's opinion all of a sudden is no longer representing this town.
Well, I think that's not.
Well, please, Mayor, please let me finish. My name's been brought up several times today. I haven't left the town. I'm here.
And you voted for that.
And watching these meetings makes me feel very good about my decision to leave the council, because it's obvious that some of the candidates that replaced me and some of the newly elected officials are going through what I went through as a council person, which is basically being shut down since January of 2021 in regards to my opinion and what I believe and still believe is the best thing for this town, which is the settlement that was entered into in October. Well, no, let me take that back. The best thing would have been if in July of 2019, if I would not have listened to the 300 people who showed up at upper school and convinced this council that we should not settle and we should appeal. And I made it very clear when we took that vote that this would come with consequences. And I was asked by Mr. Mehta, who also seems to be feeling what I felt when I was on the council. When anybody disagrees with you, it's not a good thing for them. So we should have voted yes in 2019. So that would have been much better for the town. Instead, we got the settlement of October, not as good, not nearly as good. And I'm sorry that I didn't vote no on appealing, and I listened to the residents because I had information they didn't have. And we knew, our attorneys warned us that we had very little to no chance of winning on appeal. And then Jazeniak, I'm sure, told you the same thing when you replaced Serenium with him. And then Bernstein probably told you the same thing again about your appeal. But yet you and your ego continues to bring this town down. You are going to bankrupt us. And I'm sorry to see that, because I love this town and I have no intentions of leaving this town. So it's not about what I'm getting. And you had 89 boxes of files and you came up with 3 pieces of paper. So how is that you think those 3 little emails are going to make a difference? Now, mind you, they had nothing to do with me. You keep telling the residents that me and Ed and Gloria and everybody's corrupt. But no, let me finish, Mayor. Let me finish. You don't like to be cut off. Let me finish.
Why don't you send me all your emails that you didn't send me?
Let me finish. You have all my emails.
Because no, I don't. In 2019, 2020.
You have all my.
Hold on a second. In 2019, 2020, I'm not going to let you lie to the public now because you crossed the line. In 2019, 2020, you actually cut me out of all information along with William and Ramon, okay? So don't come up here preaching as if though your hands are clean. You have dirty hands, okay? And you're the reason why we're doing this. You know, and we're not going to help you wash your hands. We're going to actually make sure that we get to the bottom of what you did, okay? And that's why we're here. You can finish. Oh, by the way, your emails are missing for the most part, right? I think Ms. McMorrow knows more about that than I do, but.
No, I don't know about Ms. Sabari's.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen anything, but apparently Wunsch is not willing to give us his emails. You could unmute yourself, Ms. Sabari.
Recording in progress.
Mario, you cannot be muting people.
Go ahead. No,
Luciano has been muted for 15 minutes.
I don't even see him. Where is he?
You have to refrain from.
Thank you, sir. It's not been
He's
15
right there.
minutes.
He's
It's
not
been
muted.
50. It's been 50 minutes. 50 minutes of being muted.
Why are you speaking?
Thank you for unmuting, because you just did it right now, Mario. Quit
No,
your
I didn't
game.
actually.
Your little petulant.
You don't have the floor.
You need to stop unmuting people because you're causing frustration.
Really? You know, Mr. Katrubis has his hand up. You can speak as a, go ahead.
And Ms. Sabari was.
You don't have the, I asked her to unmute herself, but she didn't do it, so.
It was up from before. I have nothing else to say. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I don't see anybody else.
Am I able to speak, Mayor, more than 10 seconds, or are you going to?
You had the floor plenty tonight, and as a resident.
I had the floor. I've been out of the meeting 99% of the meeting. How can you say I've had the floor?
You disappear on your own. You know what?
Oh yeah, that's.
And then
we'll see when we analyze.
You want to create a false narrative.
May I be allowed to speak?
Well, if you're speaking as a resident, yes, because this is the resident portion.
Okay, as a resident portion. So the information I think Ms. Geiger asked, Ms. Geiger, we have been provided 3 RFQs, RFPs for the attorneys that the mayor wanted to hire. The last information that I have, the one that he wanted to hire was about $1,000 an hour compared to about $200 and I believe $125. So that's the answer to the attorney fees that from last I seen, it was almost $1,000 an hour. That I don't know if we ever approved anybody to hire them, unless it was done tonight when I was miraculously kicked out of the meeting or sitting in a waiting room for 3 hours and 50 minutes out of the 4 hours that I've been here. So that was the one thing. I would appreciate that if, at the very least, Mr. Mayor, when you mute me, instead of leaving me sitting here for an hour trying to unmute myself, you have the decency to at least hit the unmute and stop playing your stupid little games that you sit there and say, oh, you're here, Mr. Luciano, and you were just speaking. Oh yeah, because literally 2 seconds before that, you just unmuted me or allowed me to unmute myself.
No,
So you
that's not
sit there
true.
like the petulant,
Why don't we go back?
the petulant little, let's see, what word should I use?
Okay.
Dictator, and you stop us from speaking. We can't put anything on the agenda. We can't have motions. We have nothing but, let me speak, please. We've had nothing but obstructionist attorneys.
You interrupt the meeting earlier.
No, I was muted because you know what? Robert's Rules of Order. I made a motion. You didn't like it. You had your obstructionist attorney sit there and say, when I made a point of order, to want to tell me that it has to be something that you're asking about parliamentary, but then you allow William Wu to make a point of order and have a dialogue about what he feels that is sufficient information. And the attorney sits there and doesn't say a dang thing. Just like that. He has that silly look on his face that says anything that the mayor wants to say and anything that anybody else wants to say, but because Mr. Luciano asked for a point of order, just like Mr. Luciano asked for the motion to be tabled. I've sat here in many meetings. As a matter of fact, it happened the last meeting that when a motion is on the when a motion is on the floor during discussion and you make a motion to table, which I did before the vote had started, that the motion to table has precedence. And our legal, see, this is our legal counsel. That's not our legal counsel. It's the legal counsel to Mayor Kranjak and the borough administrator to be obstructionist. I've been trying, we've been trying to put things on the agenda.
Go ahead.
And trying to get things on the agenda.
Enough. We have business.
Since I've been here, I've been trying to get.
Look, to the public, the reason Mr. Luciano gets muted is all he does is criticize, interrupt, break Robert's rules, and somehow he thinks this is going to get him elected, right? This is the way he campaigns as an obstructionist. We actually have a full agenda tonight. We've heard from the public. I don't think there's anyone else from the public who wants to be heard. And so I'd like to close the public portion. Can I have a motion to do that, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And,
I'd like to make a motion. I'm making a motion.
hold on a second. We have payment of claims next. We're following the agenda. So we have public hearing ordinance 2021-21-12. I need to get work done, Mr. Di Gregorio. And I'm sure Mr. Wu would agree with me that we need to get work done here tonight. And Mr. Farrow? Mr. Farrow, go ahead and unmute yourself. Mr. Farrow, I'm sorry.
All right, I got it.
You okay? Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry. All right. We need to get through these ordinances. These are public hearings, 21-12, an ordinance amending, revising, and supplementing chapter 16 of the Borough Code entitled Charitable Solicitation, most notably 16-2, entitled Permit Application, especially 16-2G and 16-2H, as well as 16-3, entitled Approval of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey. So this is the public hearing. Mr. Deanne, I need to open to the public, correct?
All right, motion open to the public.
I have a motion to open to the public just to discuss this matter.
Motion to open.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And anyone opposed?
We need to unmute council people so we
They're unmuted.
can get their
Yes,
vote.
we're unmuted because he just did it right this moment. Right this exact moment that he plays his
Because
games.
it's not a game. It's me trying to
You're a
conduct.
big
business.
game.
My video is muted.
Your video's muted. You're holding
You
down.
you are violating.
Okay, so.
Mario's world. Mario's.
Look, I need to get through this. We're gonna be here till 4 in the morning if we have to. But all right, so it's open to the public now regarding 21-12. If there's any member of the public who wishes to speak just as to ordinance 21-12, please raise
What
your
is
hand.
2112?
Please
Can you
raise.
advise the public what 2112 is?
I read it. So if there's anyone from the public who wishes to comment on that, please go ahead.
I'd like to know what 2112 is.
Sir, I can't read for you, okay? We sent this to everybody. The one thing I cannot do for you is read for you. If you're
Well, read for the
incapable of
public.
reading it yourself.
You
then
can't
have
read for
somebody else.
yourself. Read for the public.
I would like to make a motion.
We're in the
Motion
middle
on
of
the floor.
Second.
I have the motion.
We're doing a public hearing on this.
On what?
21-12. All right, I don't see any members of the public wishing to be heard, so can we have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
What did we open and close? Ramon, what did we open and close?
Have a second.
2112.
Second.
Second, William
Do
Luce.
you know what that is?
In favor of closing the public.
Yes.
portion?
2112.
Read it.
Read it to me.
All right,
No.
look, you're being obstructive.
You can read it yourself.
And it's not acceptable. All right, so now can I have a motion, actually, all in favor of closing the public portion? Mr. Park, Mr.
Aye.
Katrubis. Okay, we need a motion to approve 21-12.
Motion
Why
to
don't you
approve.
vote?
Have a second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please, on 21-12? This is for approval.
Council President Wu? Council President Wu?
Yes.
Councilman Park?
Yes.
Councilman Farrow?
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio?
Your microphone is not working.
Councilman Di Gregorio?
No.
Councilman Luciano?
Heck no.
Councilman Katrubis?
Yes.
It passes. I have a motion to open 21-13 to the public. This is an ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 30 of the Englewood Borough Code entitled, quote, zoning, unquote, most notably Section 30-5 entitled, quote, use regulations, close quote, by adding sections 30-5 paren A, close paren, and 30-5 paren B, close paren, prohibiting any class of cannabis business within the geographical boundaries of the borough of Englewood Cliffs. Do you have a motion to open to the public, please?
Motion to open.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? If there's any member of the public who wishes to speak on 21-13, please raise your hand and you could be heard regarding just that one ordinance. Okay, seeing and hearing no one, can I have a motion to close the public portion regarding 21-13?
So move.
Motion. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Roll call, please.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
We need a motion.
Council President Wu?
Excuse me, that's on, what is the roll call on? Did we do a motion to adopt or are
We
we?
have a motion to approve 21-13.
Council President Wu?
I make the motion.
Hold on a second, yes. Motion has been made by Councilman Farrow. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Councilman Wu seconds. Discussion. Vote. Roll call, please.
Council President Wu?
Yes.
Councilman Park?
Yes.
Councilman Farrow?
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Councilman Luciano? Councilman
No.
Luciano?
No.
Councilman Katrubis?
I'm abstaining.
That it? I can't hear you, Ms. Borchers. It passes. Okay. There's a problem with your microphone. You need to sit in front of it. We can't hear you. Thank you. 21-14, an ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 3 of the Borough Code entitled, quote, Police Regulations, close quote, most notably Section 3-19 entitled, quote, Smoking and use of tobacco products prohibited, close quote, to add Sections 30-5 paren close A close paren and 30-5 paren B close paren prohibiting any class of cannabis business within the geographical boundaries of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs. Have a motion to open to the public just for that purpose.
So move.
Have a second, please. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Dr. Sacker, I see your hand up.
Muted, Doc. Good luck.
No, is this an ordinance to make it a crime enforceable by police to use cannabis within the borough?
Mr. Deanna, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I can answer that. This ordinance amendment is, as of now, seeking to just prohibit the use of cannabis, and also because we need to update the ordinance, the vaping machine, the electronic smoking apparatuses, you can call them, on all borough public parks and land.
Well, it doesn't, I didn't see that it said public. That may be wrong, but it said anywhere within the boundaries of the borough of Englewood Cliffs, which means if somebody wants to smoke a joint in her house, she can't do it. She's subject to arrest from the police.
No, it's within public parks, playgrounds, ball fields, school grounds, and public buildings surrounding public property.
Let's see, 2014. 2015, no, 2014?
This is 21-14. It's basically speaking to a chapter 3 of the Borough Code, which Mr. Deanna just opined on.
Okay, any class of cannabis businesses in the geographical boundaries of the borough of Englewood Cliffs. Doesn't say anything about public or parks or.
If you read the, we're amending section chapter 3-19, which talks about prohibiting it. Typically, it just had prohibited in the past, just regular smoking and stuff in these public areas. So this is adding these additional,
You have to read the entire
items
in public areas, right?
Anyone else from the public?
Can I get a point of inquiry? Because I have a question on this too, because I agree with Doc that this, unless I'm reading this wrong, this says that this has to, you're talking about 21-14, right?
Yes.
This goes on to say prohibiting any class of cannabis business within the geographical boundaries of the borough. This doesn't specifically say about indulging in smoking of it. This says to me about, you're telling me, I'm looking at this, it says we're adding section 30-5A under the title of tobacco police regulations entitled smoking and use of tobacco products prohibited. We're adding, besides what's already been in the ordinance, which we're not addressing here today to approve, we're adding just this section about A and B prohibiting any class of cannabis businesses within the geographical boundaries of the borough of Englewood Cliffs. So where are we getting this no smoking in public parks? And is that already in the existing ordinance, or what the heck's going on here?
Yeah, I think there might be an error in that title, and people are, so we're actually under ordinance 2021-14. We're amending, you see in the title, police regulations, section 319, which is entitled smoking and use of tobacco products prohibited. That's the section. If you go through the ordinance that we have laid out, we have the underlined language as to what we're adding. What's already there that's not underlined is what's in the current code as we speak. So with the new law coming out, most towns are now prohibiting cannabis, smoking
And
and.
is this introduction by title or is this approving the ordinance? Because unless the ordinance was published before I got here.
I'm sorry.
And Mayor, we don't need your comment.
We introduced this last month and it's being approved this month. We just had a public hearing on this. This is part of the public hearing. I'm
Okay,
sorry
thank you.
waiting until the meeting.
So Councilman, it's just that one section, section 319, this ordinance.
So the printed agenda is incorrect.
Noted. But, just to
Noted,
clarify.
noted, what does that mean, noted?
Noted that's incorrect. We're correcting it now on the record that, we just
Yeah,
went
but
through.
it wouldn't have been corrected unless I raised the question and we're having a public hearing.
Well, the
So
ordinance as written in terms of what's actually being amended in the code is correct. And that's what goes to the codification company, and that's what gets inserted in the borough code, not the title. I understand your question, I get it. But I think we're okay because the actual content of the ordinance and what's out there and what's been published shows what we're amending, and that seems to be correct.
Okay, and I just want to be clear that this was sent to us because last month on introduction is a title only. I don't remember being forwarded a copy of the completed ordinance. Not saying that it did or it didn't.
Everybody got a copy of all of the ordinances last month as well.
Mr. Luciano, you received
Okay.
everything. Again, the one thing I can't do for you is.
No, you can't read it for me. And I can't give you a brain either, Scarecrow.
Okay, so the one thing we can't do for you is read for you. But to take up the public's time because you didn't do your work before the.
I have a question for
Hold on a second. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to be heard on it? Okay, can I have a motion to close the public portion? Mr. Di Gregorio, we'll have discussion after. Hold on, Mr. Di Gregorio. Closing the.
I have a question for the attorney.
You will.
Why are you muting me all the time?
Mr. Di Gregorio, there's a process. This is the public's portion. We will close the public's portion. We will hopefully have a motion to make it approved. And then there'll be a second. And then there'll be a discussion like there always is. And during that discussion, you could ask whatever question you want on this issue. Okay, thank you. That's the process. Could I have a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close.
Thank you for unmuting me. I appreciate it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of closing the public portion?
Aye.
All in favor of closing the public portion?
Aye.
Anybody?
Ramon said aye, so it's good for everybody.
Is there anybody opposed? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve 21-14?
I thought there was
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve 21.
Yeah, my table was there before his motion to approve. So if you're doing.
I'm sorry. Let's just try to follow rules once. Is there a motion to approve?
I said before, motion to
Okay,
approve.
Mr. Ramon made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Kev, a discussion. I will unmute you, Mr. Luciano, even though you just spoke for 20 minutes on this subject.
Thank you. I know public's allowed to speak however long they want, except for Mr. Luciano. He gets 10 seconds, and I'm only a councilman and a public.
Well,
But you're
because-
right, Scarecrow. Go for it.
All right, name calling is
I have a question. May I ask my question now?
Yes, this is the discussion portion. This is when you get.
Thank you. If you would indicate to me and correct whatever, if I'm speaking out of turn, instead of just going right to the mute button, you would find that you would have to
You
mute.
are out of turn and you know it. And
So-
you're wasting everyone's time. Just go
So
ahead.
I just want to, before I say my comment, I have to say one thing. I want to go on the record and I want this tape to show how our right to speak has been violated.
Not
Our
violated.
civil
This is
right has
discussion.
been violated.
What don't you
So-
understand about discussion, Mr. Di Gregorio? Okay?
You're interrupting
This is
me again.
discussion. This is the portion of the meeting. After there's a motion and a second, you get to discuss this. Okay?
Oh, you've come a long way, Mayor.
Are you unable to articulate what you want to discuss? Because hitting me all the time doesn't add value to this meeting. Because I don't care that you hit me. What I do care about is that you're wasting everyone's time. including the public that you keep trying to campaign to, realizes that you're not a serious human being or official. You just want to grandstand. Now, we are talking about 21-14 and nothing.
Right, and I have a question.
Okay, so ask your question.
I wanted to make clear first that I have my right to speak has been violated
Regarding 21
numerous times this evening. So my question then is this. We have a lot of corporations along 9W. It is in the town's best interest to take good care of our corporate citizens. Now, cannabis, you have to look at it. There are some medicinal purposes and there are some efficacious purposes for that. If, let's say, Unilever comes out with a product with that utilizes cannabis, is that going to be deemed illegal in Englewood Cliffs?
Mr. DiGregorio, maybe you weren't listening, maybe it didn't register. We just went through this with the borough attorney. This applies only to public properties. Whatever Unilever does on its properties, whatever you do at home, and I know there are medicinal qualities to cannabis, and I support that. If it's going to make someone better, but it's no different than any other drug. If you're sick and you need it, do it at home. It's fine. This is about parks, borough property. Please understand that. Okay.
All right. I read. Listen. I heard. I just wanted to make sure you don't have to scold people. This is not a school. You're not a teacher. Okay. And so let's just get this straight.
Is there anyone else having any discussion?
I'm not finished yet. Let me finish up. Okay.
What else don't you understand that we need to explain to you? Go ahead.
Are you letting me finish? Yes or no?
Let's continue. Let's finish this meeting already. Come on.
Okay.
All right, don't play games.
My understanding, and the borough attorney said, if Unilever wants to sell a product with cannabis, it still can. Is yes or no, Mr. Diani?
No, the ordinance that you just previously adopted, 2021-13, prohibits at this moment all classes of licenses to either, there's 6 classes, sale, distribution, manufacturing. I don't have them all off the top of my head, but there's 6 classes. It's laid out in the ordinance. But what you guys did tonight, and I'll explain this real quickly, just if it hasn't been explained to you before in previous meetings, that prohibiting all these classes of cannabis at this moment, when the law was passed about 6 months ago, they wrote in that all towns, all municipalities within 180-day window, and we're approaching it. I believe it's August. It's either August 21st or around August 19th, somewhere in that range. Each municipality needs to take action, whether to prohibit all the classes of licenses in their municipality, or alternatively to select which classes they would like in which zones and do all the proper zoning ordinances. And that's a lot, as you probably can understand, to try to accomplish in a 6-month period of time. But what the kicker is in the law is that if a municipality fails to act, just does nothing, and this 6-month window comes and goes, this mid-month next month comes and goes, then it's now permitted with it, all classes are just automatically permitted, and that the borough or that municipality cannot do a thing for a 5-year period of time. They're locked out. However, in prohibiting it now within that 180-day window, which you just did with ordinance 2021-13, it now allows you as a governing body to explore and look into whether you do want to eventually permit different classes, retail, distribution, delivery, etc. You don't have to wait for the 5 years now. So it gives you that flexibility,
Thank you.
As of now, it's
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman DiGregorio,
Yes.
Councilman Luciano.
He's muted.
Luciano, go ahead. Take over. He's not.
We're asking.
You can unmute himself.
So you're
Just
on.
to let the record reflect that please let the record reflect that I've been removed from this meeting on multiple occasions. I've been consistently muted, and the mayor wants to play his games and say that I'm not muted, where I'm sure if we went back and looked, we'll see that the little cat and mouse.
Councilman
Why don't you be quiet and let
need
me
a vote.
speak?
We're voting.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a vote. I can discuss it too, so Borough Clerk, you please sit there and listen to what I have to say instead of giving me direction, okay? I'm allowed to
Doing the
speak,
roll
and you
call,
don't
sir.
correct me. You don't correct me.
Please
It's
be
bad enough I gotta take it from the mayor.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. You have to be respectful of our employees.
I'm
For
very
whatever
respectful,
reason-
Mayor.
Hold on a second. Do not raise your voice to our borough employees. Do not do that. That's a big mistake, and that's just terrible. What do you think you're such a tough guy? Why do you think you're so tough that you could take on anyone? Okay, the reason why you get muted and put into the waiting room is because you're rude. You don't follow the rules. You're incapable of following the rules. You lack the requisite compliance disposition to be a council person, okay? We are voting right now. Ms. Borchers, continue to vote. We'll come back to him.
Councilman Luciano,
We'll come back to him.
Councilman Petrubis,
Yes.
All right, let's go back to Luciano. Mr. Luciano, yes or no, abstain, recuse.
Councilman Luciano? He's
not-
muted, Mayor.
He could unmute himself.
Thank you for unmuting me. Let the record reflect that I
How would
have
you
been
vote, sir?
muted.
Yes, no.
I have been
recuse,
muted for
abstain.
99% of this meeting, so
That's
just put
fine.
my vote down as muted.
How would you
Put
like?
my vote
how
down
would you
as
like to vote?
muted. From the scarecrow
Okay,
to Mr. Luciano is muted.
Okay, he's calling names, so we don't do that here. Okay. Let's go to the next one, 21.
I didn't vote. I didn't vote. You didn't call my name.
Yes, I did. You said yes,
When?
just now.
I-
Before I did.
No, you didn't. I didn't vote.
I
You
did,
did?
I
Okay.
did call you, correct.
Well,
You said
Okay.
yes.
How do you vote, Mr.
You
Di
did
Gregorio?
vote. You did vote, David, but it's.
Thank you.
Yes.
My mistake.
Okay, all right, so you voted, everybody voted, Mr. Luciano is not voting.
Ms. Borchers, that passed? That passed?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
21-15, an ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 4 of the Borough Code of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs entitled, quote, General Licensing, close quote, by creating a new Section 4-10 entitled, quote, Games of Chance, close quote. So this is a public hearing. Can I have a motion to open to the public, please?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, if there's any member of the public who wishes to speak regarding 21-15, please raise your hand and go ahead. No one from the public have a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Motion to close?
Second.
Second. All in favor of closing the public portion?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, have a motion to approve 21-15.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second,
Can I have a discussion?
What are we trying to, Ramon, what are we trying to discuss?
It's 21-15.
21 dash what?
It was the one after 14, which is 15.
Usually if you use my hands and one of my feet. Thank you.
Okay, no discussion. Go ahead and have a roll call, please.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Yes.
Councilman Luciano,
Abstain.
Councilman Petrubis,
Unmute. Unmute for him.
I didn't mute him. Go ahead.
No, of course not.
Didn't. Go ahead, Mr. Katrina.
Councilman Petrubis, abstain.
Which one is this? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Sorry. It's
The one after 14 that the mayor just told me.
It's 2115, and I'm sorry if you're.
Games of chance, it's,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, all right, 2116. An ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement ordinance number 21-05 entitled, quote, an ordinance fixing salaries, wages, and compensation for all salaried, appointed, and elected officials within the borough of Englewood Cliffs in the county of Bergen and state of New Jersey, close quote, by amending, revising, and supplementing the 2021 salary for the positions of police records clerk / police chief secretary. Can I have a motion to open to the public?
Motion to open.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, does any member of the public who wishes to speak as to 21-16, please raise your hand. This is for the public. Okay.
As a member of the public, I'd like to say something.
Go ahead. State your name and address.
David DiGregorio, 165 Charlotte Place. Aren't all salaries negotiated? And why would this one salary of this particular person be adjusted mid-year? This I don't understand. This is extremely unconventional. And I'd like a full explanation of the purpose of this adjustment. Thank you.
Okay, so
That happens every year.
So that's something that was.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, Councilman Farrow, not in the middle.
I'm sorry,
Correct.
I have the floor. Okay. This was explained at the introduction last month, but Mr. Deanne or Ms. McMorrow, go ahead and just fill them in since they've forgotten.
Mr. Deani, do you want me to make the explanation?
Yes, Ms. McMorrow, if you could.
Okay. It was explained at the introduction, Councilman, that inadvertently, whoever prepared it wasn't me because I don't prepare the salary ordinances from the year prior. Copied the wrong salary for the police secretary's salary. So the finance clerk brought it to my attention. I brought it to Mr. Bernstein's attention immediately, and it was a correction. It was, I don't.
Is that a new position and a new hire?
No, it's not. And I don't want to mention anything because there have been no rice notices and I don't want to speak anything, but
We're not talking about a person, we're talking about the salary. Is this a new person in the position?
It's a regular, it's in place and it's a mayor, please. It's in place and it was
Mayor,
just a
please.
typo. It was a typo. It was transmitted from the wrong salary ordinance to the salary ordinance that had been introduced in the beginning of the year, and it was just an oversight by the person.
So there was no error, there was an error, is what you're saying. There was an error and it was a correction.
Yeah, it's just a correction, yes.
But let me ask you, I mean, as a member of the public, aren't our contracts sent out to employees and don't they have a chance to sign the contracts, I guess, on an annual basis?
Yeah, no, Councilman DiGregorio, they get their, right, their contracts are negotiated at the beginning of the white collar union contract. This individual is a member of the white collar union contract, and they automatically get a 2% increase each year. It was, in my opinion, nothing more than a copy and paste by the individual that prepared it, and it was just copy and pasted wrong. That's all. And we're just correcting it as a matter of record. This person has been getting the same salary since the beginning of the year. There's no change. And we're just cleaning our paper. That's all.
If we take last year's salary and just increase it by 2%.
Mr. Luciano, this is public portion. If you wish to be heard, raise your hand, state your name and address.
I'm still questioning, please. I'd like to finish.
Will you do the same, Mayor?
I'm a member of the public.
Well, no,
and then I'll have a
question. All right, now you're just playing games. Mr. Luciano, wait until discussion later. Anyone from the public, the real public, please raise your hands if you wish to speak. Okay, can I have a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close.
Okay, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, could I have a motion to approve 21-16?
Motion to approve.
You have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's have discussion. I'm unmuting Mr. Di Gregorio, Mr. Luciano, you're unmuted. If you have anything to discuss that you have not already discussed, please do so.
Okay, discussion. I would like to see evidence of the mistake. I would like to see all the emails.
So
I'd
that's
like to see
something that you
exactly
should have
what
asked-
transpired.
So now you're playing
Discussion.
games, right? Because that was introduced a month ago, and if you were so concerned then you would have asked for it, but you're not.
What's the difference when
Well,
we're
what's the
concerned?
difference?
He's
I want it
concerned
now.
now.
Mayor, it's an easy
He's
thing to
concerned
produce.
now.
There's
Here's
only,
what'll happen. Here's what'll
He's
happen.
concerned now. What's
Here's
the
what'll
difference?
happen. I'm sorry. Here's what will happen. We will vote tonight. We'll get some business done. You will be provided with the proof tomorrow. How's that? Okay? Anybody else wishing to discuss anything regarding 21-16? We really do need to move along. Okay, Kevin.
I mean, to me, if you do this to one employee, you can do it to all the other employees. I don't see that. I don't see
It was
these.
an error. We're not going to represent to the public that it was an error when it wasn't. So just stop. We're having a roll call now.
Why are you shutting me down? Are you hiding
I'm not-
something?
No, there's absolutely no reason to shut you down. It's only we have to move forward with our agenda. Okay?
I wish you'd remember that when you drone on.
I wish you would stop interrupting. Go ahead, Ms. Borchers.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Absolutely not.
Councilman Luciano,
No.
Councilman Katrubis. Councilman Katrubis,
Yes.
Passes, right? Okay. 21-18, introduction of a bond ordinance authorizing the acquisition of new additional replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signal systems equipment, new information technology equipment, and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in, by, and for the Borough of Englewood Cliffs in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $891,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Dominic, this says introduction. Why is that? Why is that
And
written?
we already got through introduction, so that we can just remove introduction. It's just, it is the bond ordinance that you
It's a
just.
bond ordinance, okay. With that proviso, can I have a motion to open to the public just for this purpose?
I make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So members of the public, if you wish to be heard on 21-18, please raise your hand. Seeing and hearing no one from the public, have a motion to close the.
No, I'm here. I have a quick comment as public, please. Thank you.
State your name and address, please.
David Di Gregorio, 165 Charlotte Place. My question to the mayor and council is, we have plenty of money in litigation. Why don't we use this money, the 1.7 that used to be there in litigation, and use that towards this equipment so we can look after our money more carefully? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Katrubis, state your name and address, please.
Katrubis, 54 Hickory Street. Will we get an opportunity to speak about this as a council person, or is this the only opportunity that we have?
No, we have usually we close the public portion, right? And then we have a motion to approve. We have a second to approve, and then we have discussion for the council.
Never mind, then my apologies for wasting the time. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Have a motion to close the public portion, please.
Motion to close.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Have a motion to approve ordinance 21-18.
Almost.
You have a second?
Second. Second.
Have a discussion if anyone wishes to. A roll call. Mr. Katrubis, go ahead.
The only thing I'd like to say is I think there were some questions. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the last finance meeting, and I haven't heard anything since then. So I'm just wondering if anybody had any updates with the questions that we had to what Tammy.
I was also wondering after Finance Committee, how come none of the other council members who aren't on the council on the Finance Committee are never updated as to, as the same with the Agenda Committee. I mean, so we've had these phantom meetings supposedly where the agenda is decided in some kind of meeting, but we never get any information. How come the Finance Committee doesn't update the rest of the council? How come the Finance Committee doesn't update the rest of the council when you have a meeting?
Why don't you tell the public?
How come the Finance?
Why don't you tell the public how many questions you've asked about anything regarding this since the last meeting? Go ahead.
How many questions have? Well, since I'm usually allowed in the 5-hour meeting to speak for about 6.5 minutes. When am I supposed to?
No. Let's be clear here. In between meetings, this council needs to work. You actually have to read documents, ask questions, review the answers you receive, and then come to the meetings prepared. Everything is available to you. The one thing I can't do is read for you, right? I can't make you ask questions. I can't do that for you, Mr. Luciano. And yet, when you show up at these meetings, everything is so urgent, so important, so earth-shattering. But you're nowhere to be found in between meetings.
Stop campaigning.
I'm not campaigning. I'm not running for anything. You are. I don't have to campaign. I just have to manage. So what I like to do now is have a roll call.
Council President Wu?
Yes.
Once again, it's still discussion. You muted me. I'd like to know, once again, why do we not get an update? See, it wasn't sent to me to read. That's the big misnomer that you, Mr. Mayor, want to profess to everybody. And you might as well just play a repeat of a record of every comment that you say. Where is the correspondence?
And have you
where is the correspondence from the Finance Committee meeting that was supposedly had taken place can anybody produce that for me? Can the borough administrator, can the mayor, can Councilman Wu?
We're going to get you an answer. Ms. McMorro, go ahead.
Councilman Luciano, the CFO was hanging on to be able to speak tonight. But unfortunately, given how late the meeting went and she has to be up at 7:30, she was not able to stay any longer. There was a Finance Committee meeting. There were endless, and I don't know how I can count the emails and get you that number of trying to put a meeting together. Councilman Wu was on those emails. Councilman Katrubis was on those emails. Councilman Di Gregorio was on those emails. When two of the members, when two of those members stated they were not able to meet, we tried to reach out to other members of the council and no one responded to us. A report was given to Council President Wu. He has all that information and he was updated and given the information that Councilman Di Gregorio was given and that himself was given. I have the printout of the report. If you want to know what the balance is as what I was advised by the CFO that's left in that COA, the O/E line as of this moment, if that would be helpful.
Mrs. McMorro, if I may, I apologize.
Sure. Yes, sir.
My question is not about how come you couldn't have a meeting. My question wasn't about the correspondence that went between Councilman Wu and Katrubis and you and the mayor and God only knows who else. The statement was there was a Finance Committee meeting. And you just said that there was a bunch of correspondence that went around. My question is pretty straightforward and simple. If there was a Finance Committee meeting and Mr. Katrubis didn't attend it, and David Di Gregorio, Councilman Di Gregorio didn't attend it, it sounded like it was a meeting of one. And regardless of whether it was a meeting of 1, 2, or 3, whatever Council President Wu and the mayor decided, how come it wasn't disseminated to the other 5 council members. I don't want to know about
But I thought I
how the
answered that.
meeting
Okay, I
didn't
apologize.
happen.
Excuse me.
I don't want to know any about that. I want to know when you have a finance committee meeting, would it be possible, Council President Wu, even if it's you making your own decision in that committee, or maybe along with the mayor, but if you could at least advise the rest of the council members. Now, the mayor is going to try to twist it and say, what questions did I ask? You know what? I'm almost wetting my pants right now because I'm glad I'm able to speak for 3 minutes without being
I'm
interrupted and cut
uncomfortable
it
with that,
off.
those kind of comments, but
Yeah,
I thought I answered that, Councilman Luciano. It was my understanding Council President Wu was going to disseminate those answers. And as I stated, I invited the CFO specifically to this meeting so that she could answer in person all these questions. It's 11:30 at night, okay? And she has to go to her other job in the morning. The answers were given to Council President Wu. It was relayed to us. He was going to disseminate those answers. I apologize if he did, Council President, if you wanted me to do that, I just needed a direction that I would do it. I'm more than happy to. Councilman Luciano, I give you your 3 standing reports and I make sure you have them every month. And I provide you everything you need from the financial standpoint. If you need it, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to get you whatever you need. So, I just thought that Council President Wu was going to provide that.
The one thing that you left out was that, we basically chased Councilman Di Gregorio to attend that meeting. And every day he was too busy. We said, just pick a time, we'll make it available to you. And yet, at the times that we thought he'd be, that he said he was too busy, he was sending us emails about nonsense, right? So there's your commitment to the council, to the governing body, to the town. Mr. Di Gregorio's too busy to bother with work. And yet, maybe he's copying, pasting whatever Karen Geiger's writing for him. Maybe he's actually coming up with some of that stuff on his own, but he had plenty of time to do all that, but not to do his actual work.
There are people waiting to be let into the meeting. Please look.
Mr. Luciano, as far as your questions, you didn't ask any tonight regarding the finance. Mr. Wu is more than happy, willing, and able to provide you with whatever answers you want. He's the Borough Council President. He's part of your council. We're not going to go and make more work for ourselves just to give you something that I'd say most likely you're not going to read anyway. So, okay, let's have, I'm sorry, Mr. Wu, I don't know how you got muted and I apologize.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was speaking to myself, but more than happy to forward the questions and answers to Councilman Luciano. Didn't realize, we sit on so many councils, committees, subcommittees, didn't realize I was reporting on everything to my fellow council members, but more than happy to share. Sorry, lose track of things.
Councilman Wu, don't you think that the finance committee meeting is one of the most important meetings that should be? I don't need to know about lighting. I don't need to know about.
It's fine. It's fine.
Don't you think that?
It's fine.
He just said he'll give it.
It's fine. I heard you.
He just said he'll give it to you.
Okay.
You have to register the first 3.
Let's move on.
Okay.
And for the record, I did send in my opinions as to what should be done.
Okay, but you weren't available for a meeting. Okay, could I have a roll call?
No, I was not.
Actually, Dominic, we didn't have a vote to authorize this, right? Do I have a vote? Just want to make sure. Laura, was there a vote?
We did. We had council president that voted yes, and I have to continue.
And then there was a second, and he voted yes. Okay.
Yes. Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio.
Where are we now? And I say that, say again?
21-18.
21-18.
The finance committee.
No, absolutely, no, no.
Okay.
I said that we should use other monies for that. Thank you. No.
Councilman Luciano,
Until we're all treated equally with respect, I'm voting no.
He mumbled what he said, but he said no at the end.
I said, I'm going to vote no until we're treated equally with respect.
Okay, great.
Did you hear it that time, Mario?
It's a no.
Councilman
Did you hear it that
Katrubis?
time, Mario?
You're treated the way you asked to be treated.
Did you hear it that time, Mario?
Okay, so you have three yeses and 3 noes, is that right?
Correct.
That means bye-bye.
Dominic, do I break that tie?
No, you can't. You need 4 yeses from the council on the bond ordinance.
You have to read your little dissertation.
So when the 3 of you see our police officers, make sure you tell them why you voted no, okay? Because you're endangering the safety of our employees and our residents, because you keep voting no on this.
I told you what to do in my emails.
And I told you last month and the month before that it's disgraceful behavior that you play politics with public safety, okay? And maybe that's okay in a Democratic Party, but it's not okay in my town where I'm mayor. All right, we'll deal with you
In
guys.
your town. Your town you're gonna ruin in 8
Mayor
years.
of the town, yes.
2 years.
Good thing you won't run again, because you won't.
Well, good thing you muted yourself again. All right, so let's introduce 21-19. This is with the public hearing on August 11th, 2021. This is an ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement ordinance number 21-05 entitled, quote, an ordinance fixing salaries, wages, and compensation for all salaried, appointed, and elected officials within the borough of Englewood Cliffs in the county of Bergen, state of New Jersey, close quote, by amending, revising, and supplementing certain hourly per diem positions. Can I have a motion to introduce that by title? Can I have a
Motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call?
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Paul,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Can't hear you, Ms. Porters, really.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
No.
Councilman Luciano,
No.
Councilman Katrubis.
Yes.
It passes on introduction.
Okay, thank you. Next up are the resolutions 2021. 148 payment of claims for June 9, 2021 to July 14, 2021. It's all set forth in terms of the total on the agenda. The total bill list is $1,521,237.20. You have a motion to approve that.
So move.
Second.
You have a roll call?
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Paul,
Yes.
Can she speak into the microphone, please?
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Yes.
Councilman Luciano,
No.
Councilman Katrubis.
Yes.
Resolution 149, Sage grant application. You have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
You have a roll call, please?
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Yes.
Councilman Luciano,
Abstain.
Councilman Katrubis.
Yes.
Mayor,
Passed? Okay.
it's approved.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 150, third quarter estimated taxes. Can I have a motion to approve that, please?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Who made that motion, Mayor? We didn't come through that. Mayor, who made the motion on 150?
Park.
Park.
It sounded like a
You don't
park.
know.
Okay, Park.
Park.
Councilman Park made the motion.
And I second it.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio.
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Yes.
Councilman Luciano,
No.
So, Ms. Borchers, we can't hear you. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't.
Mayor, the air conditioning unit is above our head. And the noise is coming into the mic below because she's yelling. I mean, you know, not yelling at anyone, but she is, just in her defense, she is speaking loud.
Councilman Katurbis.
Yes.
It passes.
Resolution 151, cancellation of ordinance. You have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second,
What are you canceling?
You want to answer that?
I don't
Okay,
have any
thank you.
information.
Oh, canceling what?
Nope, I got one line that says cancellation of ordinances, but that's like the stuff laid in front of us and expected to vote on.
But there was a package that, if you care to look at, would have been in there. Mr. Deanne, can you speak to this?
Yeah, it wasn't in the package. Sorry, May.
Yeah, there was emailed with everything.
Yeah,
This
sorry, May, it
resolution,
was.
just for edification, this resolution seeking to cancel Section A of Bond Ordinance 2021-07, which is regarding improvements to Fifth Street. So Section A of that bond ordinance is being canceled, along with the debt authorized, improvement authorization, and grant receivable reserves, if applicable.
Correct.
That was that section of the bond ordinance that was previously passed.
Thank you, Ms. Borchers. We had a motion and a second.
Correct.
Can we have a roll call?
Council President Wu. Council President Wu.
Staying.
Councilman Park.
Yes.
Councilman Farrow.
yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio.
No.
Councilman Luciano. Councilman
No.
Luciano.
No,
Councilman Katurbis.
Yes.
Passes. 152, dedication by rider for sewer maintenance. Do you have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second,
Have a roll call, please.
Council President Wu.
Yes.
Councilman Park.
Yes.
Councilman Farrow.
yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio.
Yes.
Councilman Luciano.
abstain.
Councilman Katurbis.
Yes.
Passes. Resolution 153, dedication by rider for street fair proceeds. Your motion, please.
I make the motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Can you have a roll call, please?
Council President Wu.
Yes.
Councilman Park.
Yes.
Councilman Farrow.
Yes,
Councilman Di Gregorio.
Yes.
Councilman Luciano.
No,
Councilman Katurbis.
Yes.
Passes. Resolution 154, RFP/RFQ, Special Counsel for Affordable Housing. Can I have a motion, please?
make the motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Council President Wu.
Yes.
Councilman Park.
Yes.
Councilman Farrow.
Yes,
I don't hear you.
Councilman Di Gregorio.
Your microphone is gone.
Councilman Di Gregorio.
No.
no,
Councilman Katurbis.
Yes.
what was Councilman Katurbis's vote?
Yes.
All right, it's 4-2, it passes. Number 155, RFP/RFQ, Special Counsel for other borough legal matters.
so move.
A second?
Second.
Council President Wu.
Yes.
Councilman Park.
Yes.
Councilman Farrow.
Yes,
Councilman Di Gregorio,
No, emphasis, no.
Councilman Luciano,
No.
Councilman Katurbis.
Yes.
Passes. Resolution 156, retain Cadwalader, Wickersham, and Taft Esquire as special counsel. You have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is this the $1,000 an hour attorney?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Well, since this is a good friend of Mayor Kranjak, no, and it's total waste of money. Town, people's money in the town. Absolutely not. And you know
Councilman
what?
Luciano,
You sit there and smirk, but it's serious. What you're doing is really lousy.
Sorry,
Your cronies.
We had 3 RFQs. One was about $140 an hour. One, I believe, and don't hold me, I know Mayor, someone will find it was $150 and I'll be committed the biggest crime in the world, but I'll even say 180, one was 250, and the mayor's friend was about $980 an hour. And the blind mice and the mayor are pushing for the $1,000 an hour to lead us to our burning hell. So I vote no.
I will really be interested. You know what? I'm surprised at William Wu.
Let's keep moving, please. Let's finish with the vote.
We're doing a vote.
Councilman Katurbis.
Thanks, Councilman Farrow.
I can't hear him.
I just want to be clear, this resolution doesn't authorize the attorney to take any action unless approved by the council. Is that correct?
They already were here tonight. Well, did they do that for free?
Yes, they did.
They're not charging. for
Okay.
that.
Thank you. I don't know. I was kicked out of the meeting, so I wasn't aware.
But you kicked yourself out.
Oh, absolutely. I hit that button. Goodbye.
You did
That's what I usually do.
You hit that
Just like I
button.
mute myself.
You hit that
Here, I'll
button.
mute myself. I'll mute myself.
All right, we're in the middle of serious business.
And we'll finish this. And we
Councilman
just finish.
Katurbis,
So I just wanted to be clear that this attorney cannot take any action unless the council is approved, correct? Mr. Diani, can you opine on that?
Yeah, this resolution would be hiring them at a rate or an amount, excuse me, an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Okay, yes.
Passes. Okay, next resolution is 157. Part-time hire for finance department. Give a motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Farr,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio, Councilman Di Gregorio,
No.
Mayor? The resolution doesn't say the start date, Dominic. They didn't, Brian didn't put the start date, which is August 2nd. You would need that in the resolution. I just saw it.
All right, so as amended August 2nd, has anyone that?
Oh, we can't do that.
Has anyone that previously voted?
This is after public portion. How can you do that?
It's a, look, it's a minor issue, right? The person was gonna start tomorrow if you wanted to, but we're doing it August 2nd.
Councilman Luciano, Councilman Luciano,
I thought we couldn't make changes after the public portion. Mr. Diani?
It's a
How are we doing that?
I'm sorry.
I'm not talking to you, Mr.
Luciano, I'm talking to you. This is a clear clerical error. There's a start date, right? It wasn't gonna change anything. He's left the meeting on his own, by the way, just now.
Yeah, I agree. I find this to be very minor. We're just in the start date. Everything else in terms of the hiring, well, it's pretty clear. Everything in the resolutions clear that hiring a person for this department, part-time position, 20 to 25 hours a week via stipend.
So absent the date, it would be tomorrow. The date is actually August 2nd, okay? So that's the start date. Did Councilman Wu, Farrow, or Park want to change their vote because it's August 2nd now?
No.
No.
Stay the same.
Okay, thank you. Continue with the roll call. Mr. Luciano has removed himself from the meeting.
Councilman Katrubis.
Yes.
All right, it passes.
It passes.
Number 158, ADA Cooperative Curb Grant Program. Do you have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion.
Council President, I think I got Mr. Wu, correct?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Wu.
Mr.
No,
Park, seconded.
Park and Farrow.
Yeah, thank you.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio.
Are we on 158?
Yes.
Absolutely not. This is a money grab by Mazer, Mario's buddy.
Councilman Luciano. Is he still out?
I'm checking the room for him. He's left. I think it was dinner time.
Councilman-
I'm sorry, Mr. Di Gregorio, your comment's unfair. Mr. Mazer, Mazer Consulting has been part of this town for a long time. Until I became mayor, I had no municipal service provider contacts. If you think it's my friend and that's why we're hiring, then you're mistaken again. Because
Well,
you never do check your facts, do you? Because everything is a campaign platform for you. Okay. Continue, please.
Councilman Katrubis.
Yes.
It passes.
Thank you. Number 159, shared services agreement for the resurfacing of county roads.
That was a great eminent domain drawing he did, like a third grader.
We don't know what you're talking about at the moment. We're number 159. Would you care to join us on 159?
Your failed eminent domain.
Sit tight. 159.
159.
Have a motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow, Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrow,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio, Councilman Di Gregorio.
Mute.
Go ahead.
Oh, there he is. Councilman Di Gregorio,
Yes, no, I'm sorry. This one, yes, but I will really object to this muting. It is so inefficient and it shows more about the mayor than anything else.
Really? So what does it show about me? The fact that I don't like people interrupting each other? Is that what it shows about me? The fact that I want to follow Robert's rules? Is that what it shows about me? Well, then you're right. You're right. Because if other people could behave themselves and not be childish, okay?
Move on.
Then you
Move
could
on. I don't want to hear your voice.
And you could also stop behaving childishly, become professional. It might be difficult for you, but there is decorum when you're actually having to do business, okay? This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is not part of your campaign. This is actually doing the people's work. And if you're too much of an imbecile to do that, then you shouldn't be here at all. You add literally 2.5 hours to every meeting. Laura's got to drive home tonight, all right? She's got a long drive, and it's all because of people like you and Luciano who are unable to actually behave professionally like everyone else. You know, you don't care about other people. You don't care how far she has to drive home. You just don't care, right? Well, we do. And I apologize, Laura, that this is a joke to him. Now he's waving the American flag. You know, that's not what America stands for. Go ahead, Ms. Borges, please continue.
Councilman Luciano, Councilman Katrubis.
This is for the shared service agreement, 159?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mayor, it passes.
160, RFQ for borough attorney.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Council President Wu,
Yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrell,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Go ahead.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Note that the mayor muted me again. No.
Councilman Luciano, Councilman Petrulis,
Yes.
passes.
Thank you. 161.
161, Mayor, has been removed.
Oh, okay.
We're not ready with the amendment, so we're going to put this on the next agenda.
Okay, does 162 stay as 162?
There's 161, Mayor. I just put down 2116. It's supposed to be 161.
Okay, so 161 is now resolution authorizing the mayor and deputy borough clerk on behalf of the borough to enter into an agreement with Marco Sango to coordinate the recreation department's soccer program with 2021 season. So I actually want to publicly thank Marco for doing that. I know he's been a big part of the recreation program in the past, and I'm very glad that he's doing this. And
Motion. We didn't, right?
guys,
Need a
We had a motion, Mayor? I didn't have a motion.
I need a motion, guys. So moved.
Second.
Council President Wu,
Yeah, just to echo the mayor's comments, Marco's been a great volunteer resident, and I think making this a paid position is a great move for the borough. So yes.
Councilman Park,
Yes.
Councilman Farrell,
Yes.
Councilman Di Gregorio,
Well, I'm happy to agree with William and Mario on this one. So yes, and I'm very happy that Marco is joining. Congratulations.
Councilman Luciano,
So
Councilman
he left
Petrulis.
on his own volition.
I want to publicly thank Marco as well for helping out the community. And I vote yes.
Passes, Mayor.
Right, so we all agree on at least one thing tonight. That's right. So that was the end of our resolutions, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Committee / council member reports. Does anybody wish to report on their committee? If so, just say what committee it is that you're reporting on. You know, we've touched on several committees already at this meeting. Okay, next on the agenda is old business. So the issue here is opening a borough hall to the public. And Dominic, did you want to give us guidance, or Ms. McMorrow, did you want to give us guidance on that?
Oh, I could start, Mayor. I had previously, our office had previously provided some guidance to Ms. McMorrow as she runs the day-to-day operations of Borough Hall regarding Governor Murphy's most executive order regarding employers and what kind of requirements and restrictions you can put on employees, talk about public places. And they also kind of reference as well municipal meetings as a indoor public place. And the guidance that was provided under that executive order, which I'm sure people have already read, it was, I think, early June came out, was that employers, and this would go with the public building as well, vaccinated individuals would not be required to wear masks, whereas unvaccinated would be required to wear masks. However, this executive order does permit employers and the municipality, if it does in fact decide to open the building to the public, to place greater restrictions, i.e. Requiring all the public or the employees to wear masks at all times inside the building and maintain the appropriate social distancing. So the option in terms of opening the building to the public, you would have that option to place those types of greater restrictions on the public to make sure, for the safety of those, to maybe require everyone to wear a mask still at this point, and practice social distancing. I can tell you from my experience with other municipalities throughout the state that that's exactly what they're doing. If they are deciding to open their municipal hall, borough hall, they are placing those types of restrictions on all members of the public. Another option that we had advised too, in which some municipalities are considering, because you may not have enough space, as we know, your meeting room's quite small. Trying to practice social distancing may be tough depending on the number of attendees. So I've seen municipalities as well consider doing the hybrid type of meeting where they still allow members of the public with the Zoom link to view the meeting, watch the meeting, participate via Zoom or another format, but also allow the building open if people want to come to the meeting, so long as you have enough room if you decide to place those restrictions for the social distancing. So ultimately, those are your options. I mean, I would think with the size of your municipality and number of employees, they want to protect them. It'd probably be wise at this point, with the news we have with this variant and other things, that it's probably be wise if you do decide to open, that you do place those restrictions and require the public, at least at this point, to wear masks if they come into the building and maintain that social distancing.
Have a motion to, oh, you know what, before the motion to adjourn, Dominic, I want to thank you for taking care of us this evening. You know, it's not always easy, and you know, under the circumstances, it was a little bit more difficult. So we enjoyed working with you, and we'll continue doing so on the tax appeal side. And I guess at this point, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the public. Ms. Borchers, Ms. McMorrow, thank you so much for staying so late. And, you know, have a delayed opening tomorrow.
You have a good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.